We're live.
And we're live! Hello, everybody! Ant's not here,
He's
so...
dead.
That's very morbid. Let's not say that.
He's sick.
He is sick.
He's not feeling
He's
well.
not dead. He is alive and well.
We miss him.
We miss
We
him.
miss him.
R.I.P.
Anywho, this is how the introduction is going so far.
This would be way less
going
funny if
great.
he actually dies in the process.
Ant, this is what you do to us
We
when
miss
you're
you,
gone.
Aunt. We need you.
Yeah, clearly. Why don't we all just introduce ourselves first, to recap who we are
That's
as
fair.
people, what our names are. What is your name?
My name is Sabrina Maddie.
No.
Oh.
Bitch.
My name is Nick Wright with an R, not a W.
Hard R.
Hard R.
Not a soft one.
Not-
Not a wiggly one.
And definitely not a W.
I apologize.
It's okay.
My name is Sabrina Matty. I am not high. I'm just very hyper right now. This is Lauren. You can speak for yourself. I'm
Hi.
sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Full
I'm
name.
Lauren. I'm Lauren Lehmann. Hello.
She's a small.
I am a small. Yeah.
And here.
And Brian. Newton. God, I have to talk louder, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Ugh.
And we are Animation Success Stories. Hey, we're here with Lauren today. She was our second place winner. Second place winner
Yep.
for our contest a while back. She's the one that did that full animation of it
It's
was
the
like
fart cloud.
it was what?
It's the fart cloud one.
The fart cloud.
No, it was the one
No,
with
it was
all.
a fart cloud.
It was the one with
It
all
was the one with like
She
the,
just said it was the
There's
fart
there's
There was
there's
a fart cloud,
yeah.
but there were a lot of people did fart clouds. That's what I'm saying. You did like it was a mixture of like Rick and Morty, Harmon Quest, and like Uncle Grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
That was just those three, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it on my laptop and I can put it on the stream later to show.
Okay, make
Good.
sure you do that because it was really good.
For context.
I also have all of the other entries that did not win that we can look at too if we want to and just show the people.
Sure. We also need to interview them at some point, so we can do that then. But yeah.
Except for our winner. Our winner is like he's over there.
In
You can see his,
Germany.
yeah,
Hey,
it's
we can organize a chat with him. Why not?
it's animated.
Huh?
Our winner's logo is right there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
That's not important now.
That's not important right now. What is important? Why don't we before we start, can you like mention all the wow, I'm blanking. All the sites that we're streaming on.
Oh, yes.
at
Okay,
once.
yeah, so we're streaming on Facebook. This is a new thing. We did it at a convention a while back, and it was really fun having a lot of people come by to the booth and just like, yo, YouTube, yo, Facebook, whatever. Got a lot of kids coming up. It was great, and, I think we're just going to keep doing that. We're streaming on YouTube as well, and then also we're on Twitch, on my Twitch, which is Animation Stream. I got a card here.
Is that all one word?
Yeah, Animation Stream, one word, simple.
So wait, it's
Just Twitch.
twitch.tv/animation stream. Okay.
Yeah, so if you're on Twitch, sorry, but I can't see your comments. Go to YouTube or
But we're on
Facebook.
there, and then also we're live on Instagram all the time.
Yeah, we're live on Instagram right now. Oh my god, we're live on Instagram! 30 minutes later.
And we're on my little phone here on Instagram, so sorry if it's like a weird setup, but yeah, it's on a little tripod. Alright, so, I'm going to informally introduce Lauren over here.
It's chill. No worries.
Because I'm not Anthony, so I don't got my shit together. So, Lauren here, you graduated from Laguna College of Art and Design.
That's correct. Yeah.
And you have a BFA in game art.
Mhm.
And she got her first studio job at Servios. Is that how you say it?
That's correct. You got it.
Yeah!
First try.
Woo!
First
Try.
First try.
Almost 3 years ago, and she still currently works there as an environment artist and a generalist. She's worked on 3 shipped VR games, which is Raw Data, Electronauts, and Creed Rise to Glory. And we can mention all of your social media later when we're closing. But mostly everywhere she is, you can find her on social media at Lauren LA Artist on all social media. But yeah, all right. So how we how we normally start off our interview is asking, what is your very, very first animation memory? Like, what was the very first show that you remember ever watching as a child that like just sparks like, I don't know, that really...
Yeah, this is highly important.
Yeah.
Most important question of the night.
Definitely.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like pertain to like what animation that like got you into wanting to draw, or just in general, what was the earliest animation memory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think first off, I just want to say I'm very honored to be here. Thank you guys so much.
I love having you.
It's awesome. It's really cool to be on this side of the camera.
Yes!
This room is really cool.
She's
you guys
always
are really cool.
She's always watching, and she's always asking such great questions. So
I'm a
this is-
question asker, so I apologize.
No,
You do ask
don't
things. You ask
don't
good
apologize
questions,
for that. That's good. That's good.
So I just want to say thank you guys. You guys
Yeah.
are cool. Just stoked to hang out with you
I
guys.
love having you.
And then also I'm gonna say that my background in my story is more games currently. So instead of it's less of like an animation success
You can give
story,
us both.
more of
Give
like
us both of an animation memory and a game memory.
All right. Yeah. So I guess like my first game memory. I played a lot of games when I was a kid. And the one that really spoke to me was a game called Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation. I don't know if anybody played that.
That
I
sounds
played that.
familiar.
Yeah.
It was
a
a fairly
movie.
prominent game.
Yeah.
Mini sequels. Insomniac?
Insomniac
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
I want to
yeah.
pull up a photo or something of that because that sounds really familiar.
You've seen it before,
How
for
do you,
sure.
how do
Yeah,
you
it's just like
spell
a
it?
little
Ratchet,
character.
like a ratchet, like
yeah,
a tool.
Ratchet
Yeah.
and Clank.
Clank.
Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, like, because I remember
The original, the first one, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Great,
Yeah.
great design.
Are they
on
the
that
same
game.
people who
Yeah.
did like Spyro and like?
And
They
not the
did
same.
do Spyro. Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, because I remember I always liked their characters.
Yeah, totally.
They were, yeah, and they always had like a pair too.
Yeah, they had a
Ratchet and
chicken
Clank.
gun.
Yeah, and then there was also what was it? Jack and Daxter.
Different company.
Different company. But,
Oh, really?
But same kind of thing. They were exclusives on the
Okay.
PlayStation back in the day.
But Spyro had Sparks, right? The little dragonfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting at, like a little sidekick.
There's always a little sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I played.
Okay.
I played that game, and that's kind of the first time that I was just like, wow, like who made this, and I want a part of that because that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think at the time when I played that game, I was like 10-ish or something like that. So
Okay.
I was kind of young still.
What was the
and-
very first game that you played? Like, I know it was younger than that.
Yeah, before that I played, there's this very obscure game called it's called Croc, Legend of the Gobos.
I played Croc.
You played it? It's a very obscure, like, PlayStation 1 / like PC game, but I played that a lot.
Okay.
It's just a little, like, run and jump game.
Was PlayStation your first console?
My first console.
Okay.
Yeah, but I played, like, Mario 64 and, like, all that stuff, like, on other people's, on, like, my friends' consoles.
Okay.
And that was really fun, too.
I loved Mario 64.
Yeah.
It was a good game.
That was definitely one of my favorites. I liked all the colorful kind of like adventure type games, and those were really inspiring to me. And I love that stuff. And then as far as animation goes, I don't know. Like I really loved SpongeBob. I really loved like all the Nickelodeon shows, especially. What was Danny Phantom? What was that on?
That was
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
That was Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Butch Hartman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was Nickelodeon.
Yeah, those were all super cool.
I was like, no, it's Ben 10. I always got confused between those two.
Ben
like,
10 and
yeah,
Danny
Ben 10
Phantom.
and Danny Phantom. Yeah,
I can
There's
see that.
There's some similarities.
Okay, so I'm not
Yes.
crazy. Okay. Okay, so
Not for that reason, you're not crazy.
I know I'm crazy in
There you go.
general, but at least for that, yes. Thanks, Brian.
Mhm.
I'm trying my best to be normal here.
Don't try giving.
Whatever.
Wait, do you want to look at yourself?
Yeah, I want.
You're not on the
I
camera.
want to ask questions too.
Okay, well, ask the next question.
Okay.
Don't ask off of that.
Oh.
That's already
Wait,
covered.
what do you ask? What are we gonna like? Is it pertain to her or down here? Because these aren't.
Well, we should ask
you
about
have
the
a
college.
Oh yeah, we're gonna
we're
get there,
getting
man.
there.
We're working up to it, man.
She was just explaining her first animation/video game memory, which prompted you to consider a career in video games. I guess.
Yeah. Well, I guess like I can continue. Like the next thing from there in that story is when I was like 14 or so. I still really loved Ratchet and Clank, and I really admired that studio. So I actually sent them like a fan letter. I wrote them like a little letter. I was like, "Oh, I love you guys, and like I want to work for you someday, and I really love your art." It was really cute, and I did a little drawing, and then they like sent a letter back.
Oh, really?
And the CEO like signed it, and they're like, "Thank you so much. Like we put this on our like kitchen, on the fridge, and keep playing our games." And I was just like, I was so blown away.
You
I
know
was like,
what?
This is crazy.
There was a time, I
Very good.
remember when I was a kid, do you remember how, like at Blockbuster, they still had that little pamphlet attached to every single game?
Yeah, that's like in the little sleeve. Like
yeah,
you open it up, and then there's, like, a little...
like manual, like
Yeah.
how to, like the controls and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember... Me and my sister used to steal those.
Oh, that was you. That was all you. Okay, got it.
Because
What, are you picking them up?
Monster.
Like,
I
where are they?
Where's
What
my
happened?
manual?
Please don't
I
come
don't know how
after
to
me.
play.
Sabrina's a monster.
I know.
Blockbuster doesn't
I used-
exist anymore.
I know. Well, okay.
There's one left. Okay.
But I used to steal those, and I used to steal them for the art.
Mhm.
And I remember with Mega Man, like, I remember telling my parents, or my mom, really bad that, like, I wanted to write a letter to Zero, like, the character himself. I was that
So
little
cute.
child that, had an imagination. But, like, I remember writing in the back of the book or something, and, like, I kept asking my mom to, like, mail it out or something to somewhere. I wish she would have done something
She should
like
have.
that.
She should have.
Send it to the
Like
company.
fake, like
Yeah, or, like, at least send it to the studio.
Yeah,
Right,
you know what I mean?
that would have been
Yeah.
Capcom. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, now that you're telling me that was possible and that happened, I'm like, damn it.
But that's the thing.
Insomniac loved it, like, according to the letter. Like I don't know. They're
But that's
they're
the
rad.
thing a lot of
They're
people
a
don't
cool
know.
studio.
A lot of people don't understand that you can just reach out to studios and fairly easily. They find out, like, people send fan letters, people ask for jobs. And it's just
I
like,
think
Guys,
it's a
send
really
us letters.
we don't have a mailbox.
Yeah.
We need to get one.
I mean, now that I'm on the other side, like it's really awesome to get like physical letters from people, because we do hear a lot from fans, I think, like on Twitter and social media, and the problem with that is it gets mixed in with a lot of negativity. There's positivity, but there's also kind of negativity,
For sure.
and it's just not,
People
it doesn't
don't
have
like
the
the
same
look.
weight as
Yeah.
like a physical letter. Like I remember, I think someone at my current studio was hired because they sent in like a physical letter, and we were like so impressed that we
Oh,
were just
wow.
like, come over for an interview. Like
Note to self.
that's good. So.
That's good to know, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there's something kind of special about the old school snail mail.
But I
Yeah.
also imagine this person's letter felt, like, legit. It wasn't
course.
just, like, mad scribblings. Or,
No.
yeah.
It was very much like passionate about what we were doing as a studio. And-
Yeah. I used to get, when I was at Cartoon Network, I used to get phone calls from kids.
Oh, what?
Like, trying to reach, like, Atsy had the same number as Chris Riccardi for some
Yeah.
reason for, like, a year or two. So, I call looking for Chris Riccardi, and occasionally I get kids like, so, my mom said that, like, I was watching Chowder, and they said crap, and my mom said that's a bad word. I'm like, that's the calls I would get. I'm like, dude,
Whoa.
just watch the show and say the bad words in private. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch, like, South
How
Park
did they
or
find the
something.
number?
I don't know. This kid was
These kids are smart.
yeah, relatively inventive for that, but then I had
Yeah.
to tell that little bastard grow up.
That little bastard.
Wow.
Yeah,
Poor little bastard.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a few companies where like kids will call. I've had companies where kids will just like Like when I was at Splash or Mike Young,
yeah.
there was this one kid who would re-upload all of like Code Lyoko to YouTube.
You've told me about
And
this.
then
Yeah.
but there was like other kids who would like they would make their own versions of like I was working for a channel called Kabillion, and they would make their own version of it. And there was like one like Kabillion After Dark or whatever, something like that, and it was they just make the logo black. And then they just upload random videos that of like Adult Swim shows.
Wow.
They just upload the show.
They just made their own channel.
But it was like filmed on like a camera phone.
Oh no.
Totally not.
And we're talking young, like, because he had like videos of with like him and his brothers who were like, 7 and 12.
I used
or
to
something.
VHS all the like Adult Swim like after hour shows for my own purposes, and we watched them later because I didn't have the internet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I would save all of Outlaw Star on VHS.
Yeah.
Had to.
Dang.
Yeah. But enough. Us.
Yeah, my dad used to like rig weird shit. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Illegals. We're all doing illegal stuff. Yeah.
Don't come after us.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask, do you still have that letter?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I have the letter back from them. Yeah, I mean, it's like framed and everything.
Aw.
I was gonna ask
Yeah.
that.
So,
Like,
of
it and
course.
stuff.
You
Of
sent
course.
the letter in high school?
I was 14, so yeah, I think that's like the first year of
Yeah.
high school
wow.
or so.
So I have a question. When you're in high school, at the school you went to, did they have any specific art programs that either cater to any sort of animation or video games?
I actually went to 3 different high schools
Oh,
in
okay.
3 different states. So
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
yeah. So like I mostly like grew up in Northern California, but then in high school we moved around a little bit.
Have you been drawing all your life?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I was drawing from a young age. Just loved drawing cartoons and realistic, whatever. Just love to draw. But yeah, so I went to 3 different high schools, and they were all very different. one in Northern California, one in Florida, and then one in Texas, and that's where I graduated.
Okay.
Oh, just all over.
Yeah, all over the place.
Like,
So you just span the country.
yeah.
Yeah,
entirely.
we spanned the country.
Was there a lot of like art opportunities, like art type of opportunities for schools and stuff out in like, Florida and Texas and all that?
Let's see. In California, I don't remember having. I did have an art class. Yeah, I think they all just had like your typical, just like you could take an elective art class. So I definitely did that, and then like I remember when I was in Texas, my last 2 years of high school, I did like the AP art stuff. I took the test or whatever. I kind of forget how that happened.
Yeah.
I think it was like a submission. You like submit art and then you get like a score.
Teachers usually force that.
Something like that. So I did do that, and I think we had like a little club or something. It wasn't much, but it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I know in schools, like, clubs are usually a good way to, if you are in high school and you don't have a lot of art stuff going on or whatever, you can always start a club and just, get a bunch of fellow artists together and just create events or things where you guys can just draw together.
It's a great habit to get started at an early age because, once you get further along in your career, I think it's really helpful to have that kind of leadership skills of like setting things up like that.
Oh,
and social skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So starting that in high school is just a great place to start.
Yeah, and if it's about something you're already interested in, it's not a chore.
That's true. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
And then
definitely.
also you can always you can always ask for help from the school themselves too, to like kind of like help the club out to like if
funding, you can get a little bit of that.
or even just like
Maybe,
because I know
depending on the
funding for stuff like you can go and create events with like studios or something.
Yeah.
Or I know like when I was in high school, I knew I wanted to do art for a living, and I remember like it was really hard to figure out like I tried asking teachers as much as possible like what I should do from that point on. So if there's enough artists getting together at a school, I'm pretty sure like you guys can like ask for guidance in that direction, and they can like help you out or something. I don't know, like there'll be more of a focus if there's more of you like coming together. You know what I mean?
Little coalition.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
it's not
totally.
that big of a deal at your school, like if art isn't a huge thing at your school, you can try to make it a
You
thing.
do it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of initiative is really good.
Yeah.
It's really good to have that, or to try to have that.
Yeah.
Or
Try.
or it's something you shouldn't be shy away from simply because it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Step up.
But
I was in the anime club.
Yeah,
There you go.
That doesn't
That-
surprise me.
I guess that could be. I'm like, is that something? I guess. If you want to educate yourself, why not?
Yeah, of course.
I'm
But
like,
it's a great place to make friends with
That
similar
too.
interests. You
That
know,
too.
like that can be
And you're-
difficult in high school.
you're bound to find another artist like in an anime club. I'm pretty sure. Like,
Sure.
yeah.
I mean, I would think most people in the anime club are artistically inclined
Yeah.
in one way or another.
There's bound to be somebody in there. Yeah.
Do they have the skills? That's another issue. But like,
Yeah.
they're going to be
Yeah.
inclined. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, depending on the kind of school you go to, because like having gone to like vastly different schools, like some schools were supportive of the arts, but like other schools were a lot more like they didn't consider it anything.
Yeah.
And like you were considered like a nobody, and that was frustrating. Yeah, some schools were like that, and
But this is high school, not
high school.
college, yeah.
But doing something like starting a club and or just meeting people is just a great way to get a community around you, a community of friends. High school's tough.
Oh
you know,
yeah.
So
And it is, yeah. If it's tough in a sense of socialization and stuff, like socializing and making friends, it's good to like meet other people with similar interests for sure.
I will say, like, moving to like 3 different states helped me get out of my shell. I used to be really a lot more shy, and I'm still very much an introvert. But moving so much in high school really helped me get out of my shell and learn how to meet new people. And now I'm like, I got those skills.
Yeah.
I remember people using it as a justification for when you go to college. They would say, go to college out of state simply
Totally.
because you can, like, it'll force you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You're in a new place. You really don't know anybody. You're forced to make your own friends.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to like latch on to their friends in high school or whatever, or even college. They like always want to like kind of migrate with each other.
Yeah, it happens.
So any shout outs to high school friends?
Oh man, that's yeah. I mean, like obviously, I made a lot of great friends. I'm really bad at keeping up with them. Like
That's tough.
I kind of wish that I like kept up with more of them, but I had like a posse in Florida. Shout out to like Allison and Alicia and Shannon and like that whole crew. Friends in high school, like Mandy, just like a really good friend of mine. And
Were they also artists?
no, not necessarily.
Okay.
No, I was usually kind of the only artist.
Did everyone ask you to draw things for them?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
What
Typical.
artist doesn't have that problem?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem. It's practice, right?
I know. For me, it was. When it got too many requests, I was just like, I don't want to draw for you. I want to draw for myself. God. So, okay. So you went to, you said you graduated in Texas?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then what brought you back to Laguna Art College of Design?
Yeah, how'd you get back out here? What's going on?
Yeah, so I actually at the time went to college, a regular college, not an art school in Washington State. So I was like still on that track of like going to a completely new state every few years.
Is there, wait, is it your parents like moving around or something? Or
Yeah, it was because of my parents'
Okay.
job and stuff.
Well, what do they do?
No worries. My dad's in like commercial real estate, and so like it was around like 2008 when like
The housing
that
market
happened.
crash, yeah.
So like it was.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't pretend to understand. My parents are so smart. I'm just an artist, and my sister is she's 3 years younger than me, and she's a musician. And we both joke about how like
Oh,
what
that's
happened to our
cool.
generation. Like my dad's this entrepreneur. My mom's like this amazing. Like, she like went back and got her master's recently at UC
Oh,
Berkeley.
wow.
And like my parents are so smart. And then like
I mean, you're
me
smart
and my sister
too.
are just like, what happened to us?
You're smart too.
We're the
It's just a
creatives.
different side of the brain.
Totally,
you know?
totally.
Like, did your parents always support you and like encourage you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. We're so blessed. Yeah, me and my sister are just always like so fortunate. Like our whole family, like our grandparents and like they're all very supportive of,
That's
of us
awesome.
and our creative endeavors. So
Did your sister? How old's your sister?
she's it's gonna put my age. She's 3 years younger than me. She is 22.
Okay, I mean you're young, so it's fine.
Yeah, I am young. I'm a small and I'm young.
I'm 26, so you're
I'm
right
the
there with me.
baby.
I'm just gonna vouch for me and Brian. We declined to answer any questions.
See, we're still
pleading
young.
the
We
fifth.
can still talk about our age. Just kidding.
Yeah.
You don't get to talk. Nick talking fucking shit.
You just can't. Yeah, you can't talk about being young to anybody older than you.
I get frustrated more so, like, cause I don't know, cause people always talk about things that I wasn't born for.
Right.
So if anything, I'm always like frustrated rather than like older people getting frustrated, cause I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait 10 years and then you're gonna start doing that to people who weren't. You're gonna talk about things for young people who weren't born for a thing you're talking about, and it's gonna frustrate
You'd be surprised. I was having a conversation the other day with somebody that was like younger than me, and they were bringing up things like from my time that I didn't know about, and they were like, "How old are you?" And I was just like, "Why?" And then I told them, they're like, "Wow, how am I younger than you and I even know about that?" I'm like, "Man."
Well, their social group is different.
Yeah.
Like I talk to young people and they go crazy about like Hannah Montana and stuff. I'm like, I was already out of college when that was on air, so I wasn't watching Hannah Montana.
I'm like, I was.
Yeah, exactly. I was watching Pete and Pete. I was watching You Can't Do That on Television. I was watching Welcome Freshmen, 15. You don't know about any.
No.
Those are all Nickelodeon shows.
Oh, okay.
Alright,
Okay.
so cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
It's all relative.
I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aging happens to all of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
That will
Aging is cool, guys.
Mm.
I was gonna ask, so did your sister go to the same schools with you too?
Yeah, I mean, she was 3 years behind, so it was kind of like lagged behind like a little bit, but yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
Obviously, when college rolled around, she had her own path, but
Wait a minute. Oh, I just realized that your sister's relevant too because she actually did music.
she did the music. for-
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, okay, am I veering like off that I'm asking about your sister
No,
right now?
not at
But then
all.
I'm like, wait a second, no.
You justified it. to yourself.
I just justified it, and I
Yeah.
remembered that. Yeah, okay, so that's really cool. That
I
you
love
can,
working with my sister. I
That's
hope in the
awesome.
future
How-
that we get to do a lot of stuff.
Have you
together.
done any
You
other
can.
collaborative projects?
Yeah, I mean, so in my spare time, I do a lot of animation, and I'm always she helped me like do some voice recording. Like she has access to this awesome studio, and so like she helped me like record my voice and stuff, and she helps me with like everything, like sound stuff. So yeah, we collaborate a lot.
It helps.
She's so cool. Love you.
Yeah, your stuff is really good.
So
Thank you.
when you were at Washington, when you were in Washington for college, how long were you there, and then
Yes.
what prompted you to go to Laguna?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was in Washington for about like 3.5 years. So I was like almost ready to graduate. And I kind of my thought process was like I still definitely wanted to do video games, you know, from a very young age. But I wanted kind of a well-rounded education. I do have a lot of other interests, so I just kind of wanted to get that well-rounded education, which is why I went there. And then I actually studied abroad in England my sophomore year. Yeah, it was really cool. And I had this. So I was in England. I was studying in like kind of this middle of nowhere place. Well, not middle of nowhere, but University of Hull, which is in like the north
I think I've heard
On
of
the-
Hull, yeah.
on the coast. And
It gets joked about a lot.
really,
Yeah. It's like, oh, you went to Hull?
yeah, that's mostly what
I've never
people
heard
say.
about this.
I was actually not even in Hull, but I was like in like a smaller part called Scarborough, so it was like even further away.
Scarborough Fair, yeah.
Yeah,
I got
Scarborough
it.
Fair is what it's known for. But anyway, so I went there and I was in like at the time I was in my second year of college, and they had like I was in some third year class, and it was like the first like 3D animation type class. We were like learning Maya, and it was like my first time like learning Maya, which is a 3D program for animation and modeling and all that stuff. And in one of the class sessions, I remember the third years in England are the ones who graduate. Like, they don't do 4-year programs, they do 3-year programs. So there was one class where we all sat down, and the instructor kind of gets up at the front of the class and says, okay, so all you guys, like, think about your plans for the future. How many of you want to move to the U.S.? And, like, most people raised their hand. And then he said, and then he started to list off, like, how difficult it was to get to the U.S. He's just like, well, there's only you only have a few options. You either somehow gotta get hired over there and work out your visa, or you could, like, gotta get married, and he was, like, just laying down the truth. And I was sitting there going, like, I'm going to this, like, general college, like, goofing off.
Where you're like, oh, that sounds really tough, governor. Oh, that's a hard time.
I'm like, I am a citizen.
That sounds bloody awful.
Yeah.
I really don't like that, like, people do that, though. Like, they even said that about our industry, too. Like, I remember in college, they made it sound so impossible to get into, like, a big studio.
It's not impossible, it's just, there's a process that involved. And especially if you're a college student, and it's one of those things.
Especially if you're abroad, I think.
Abroad in college, it's one of those things when they say, you're in a giant class, and it's like, look to your right, look to your left. 50% of these people are going to drop out. It's that kind of thing.
It's like that. Yeah. It's like that.
Well, even then, like, I had a friend who I worked with at a studio. He was an intern for a year at the studio, and he had a visa for his internship. And then they offered him a job, a full-time paid job, and they wanted him. They really wanted him, and the government would not let him come.
The government where he was?
No, here. The United States would not let him come.
Because we suck.
And he's from England, a good, educated guy. And then, he proposes to a girlfriend, and he got married, and now he's here.
Okay. Yeah.
So happy ending.
Good.
There you go.
But
if we get rid of that 14th Amendment.
When in doubt, just marry a citizen out here, and then you're good.
It's that easy.
As long as we're keeping the Constitution in place, and we don't.
Yeah, he went to college out here, but like it was like
what Constitution, man? We don't follow that shit.
It was like waiting for a work visa for like half a year, and then like a marriage visa for like a few months.
Yeah.
It's so different.
It is ridiculous. It should be easier. Unfortunately, I have another friend right now from Brazil trying to work on his visa to get work out here. He's worked here before, but it's difficult. And I have another friend. She's Chinese, and she has to deal with the visa
I have some friends.
Constantly.
I have some Brazilian friends who've done the same thing. I can put you in touch with them if you want to talk to their.
He's in the process now, so he'll be okay, more than likely. Nickelodeon's hiring him, but it's still one of those just things. It's a constant thing when you're foreign, quote unquote. It's a constant struggle. Every job you have to get is like, we really love your work, but that visa.
Yeah.
So it's just a little more difficult than it would be if you're just a naturalized citizen. Mm-hmm. Same thing for us going to work elsewhere as well. Mm-hmm. Like I think like work in Japan, they also have to do the same thing. I got offered a job in Japan, but I was like, oh god.
What, Brian? Why didn't you take that? Sounds like a dream job.
The tsunami happened literally 3 months after.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm glad I didn't take that job.
You dodged a bullet.
Yeah. The main reason I didn't, because I didn't want to leave my cat.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's fine.
It's really hard to get pets into Japan.
Yeah.
Really?
I see.
Yeah, so again, it's instructors tell people that not because they're necessarily trying to be dicks. It's just kind of like giving you full information.
Yeah. In my case, he was just trying to like just be like, here's the reality of it, guys. Here's the reality.
And it's not like there's not work there. It's
right.
Just,
yeah. There's lots of great European studios. Like Cartoon Network has their own studio out there.
Yeah, that's what they did. Flapjack. Sorry,
Gumball.
Gumball.
I was going to say Bubblegum.
Bubblegum, yeah.
Gumball
just
is what.
Good.
I'd say Gumball was probably one of my favorite shows. It incorporated so many different forms.
It's one of the
media.
best shows on television.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good. Really good.
Just know there's other animation studios out in other countries and other states than California.
Yeah, look them up.
Yeah, I would actually suggest to check those places out first before coming here.
Yeah,
just because we're getting so populated out here, man. It's not
and it's just
another don't move to LA speech.
But it's also just not cheap. Unless you know somebody here and you got a really good thing, it's gonna be a struggle. It's a struggle you can do when you're young. When you get older,
it sucks. Like literally out here, it seems like nowadays the only way you can live out here is if you have roommates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would suggest, you can work at those places elsewhere, get the experience, and it's even easier to move later.
Yeah.
Because like you could work in Atlanta, New York, in the UK, France for like 3 to 4 years, and then like when that job pops up, you already built up.
on
Yeah,
over.
you
Yeah.
shift on your. You know people. You have experience. You build up like some capital,
Yeah.
and you move.
Yeah, you know,
True,
I'd say
I never thought
some
about
some studios like Blue Sky,
Mhm.
they're located outside of California. They might be a good opportunity for
New
people.
Zealand?
Yeah, they're on the East Coast.
They're on the East Coast.
Oh, East. Okay.
Titmouse
Oh, yeah,
has
Titmouse
has
is
studios on the East
Yes,
Coast.
they do.
I know a few people who work at the Titmouse in on the East Coast, and it seems like a great place.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, overseas, one of my favorite studios overseas is Cartoon Saloon. They
Yeah.
do like this was the Secret of the Kells and
yeah, that's the one. I was
so
thinking of.
good, so
Didn't
good.
they do Atomic Betty back in the day? Is that
Oh,
Cartoon
maybe.
Saloon?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know they did Puffin's Rock or whatever. It was like a
I don't remember
children's
that one.
show for Netflix or something.
But anyway, overseas, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's not the end of the world. It's just difficult.
Yeah, it can be difficult.
So you graduated from
Wait,
college
wait,
with a
before-
great degree.
Before
Wait.
the graduation, can I ask?
What clubs you were in?
No. Wait. I wanted to ask, what was your application process like for college, like for the art side?
the
Like,
art
did,
one.
Did you have to like submit a portfolio and all of that? Or
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of looked at a few different ones, and like Cal Arts was definitely one of the ones that I wanted to go to, but I was just like, that's kinda-
prestigious.
well, the application process is crazy.
Yeah.
There's so much you have to just the sheer amount of work you have to submit. I was just at that point, like I was already in college. I was in my 3rd year of college, and I was so busy like taking tests and earning like a minor in teaching English and all this other stuff, and it's like I don't have time. But Laguna College of Art and Design also had like you had to submit some things, but it wasn't too much. Like it was doable for me, so I did my best and submitted it and got in. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
So what was the point you decided that you want to do video games for your career?
Like I said, that's kind of something that I wanted from a very young age,
Yeah.
and it kind of stayed throughout. But like that wake up call when I was studying abroad was very much like, oh, I need to like chase this now.
Okay.
It's time.
So when you went to the UK, that's
yeah.
when you decided.
Well, during like that class when there's just like it's so hard to get into the U.S., I was like, I have a citizenship, and my parents are back in California again, so like I'm even like a California native and all. It's time for me to just go back and like really pursue this and stop messing around. So that was kind of the point for me when I was just like time to do this, time to really dive in. Yeah, and Laguna College of Art and Design had like a game program, and it was close-ish to LA. I didn't realize at the time that Orange County was still like 2.5 hours of traffic from LA.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's close to a lot of game studios. Like
there's
it's
a lot of
near-
game studios
near
down there.
Irvine, which is
Yeah.
Blizzard.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's definitely a great school. If you want to work at Blizzard, Laguna College of Art and Design will definitely prepare you for that. A lot of my friends work at Blizzard right now.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's a great school for going to Blizzard.
There
Did you
go.
go to
A lot of
BlizzCon?
instructors. No, I did not. I did not.
I'm obsessed with Overwatch.
No way. That's awesome. I have some friends on the team.
Yeah, I know. I knew a lot of people in college that were like obsessed with World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
What other ones
They
does
do
Blizzard do?
Overwatch and StarCraft and Diablo.
StarCraft. Diablo.
Yeah.
Wait,
Diablo.
What about Halo?
No, that's
That's something
That's
else.
Bungie.
There's a
But-
couple. There's
but-
Bungie,
Yeah.
343.
But Bungie moved on to do Destiny,
yes,
and now Destiny is released on
Activision.
Battle.net
Oh, my sister
on
loves
PC.
Destiny.
Because of Activision.
and so is Call of Duty, because Activision and Blizzard merged together.
Consolidation.
I can't keep track.
Yeah.
I'm in the industry and I can't keep track of all
Oh, okay. So I have one question. Did you guys ever struggle with students who like played video games more than did their homework? Like, was that ever a struggle for you, or like?
That was a
'cause, like,
struggle in my college.
Yeah, that was a struggle in my
Yeah.
college too. That was the biggest like reason why students never showed up to class, or they like we had our college was stupid. We had a game lounge where like we had like consoles in the little like hangout area.
I
Must
shouldn't
be
do
nice.
that.
And it's just like what? Why? No.
We just converted our computer lab and we played Warcraft 3.
Oh,
Oh,
We
see,
had
Yeah.
people doing that too.
I mean, yeah, you
well,
can't.
we had people doing that during class.
some people were playing during class.
That's not good.
Yeah, we had those.
But basically, that's a good way of, separating the wheat from the chaff. It's just like, you either get your work done or you don't.
Yeah.
We all played, but you get your work done.
That's true.
So
That's true.
Did you have that issue at all, or did you know people who had that issue?
I mean, I'm sure there were some people who had that issue.
Yeah.
I was like a really hard worker. Something just like switched in me where I was like, it's time, and I just like, it was a tough program. I worked really hard. I was always in the computer labs, and I learned a lot just from like upperclassmen that were just in the computer labs teaching me stuff. Like, sure, I learned in class a lot of things, but a lot of it was like in the computer labs with the upperclassmen just being like, oh, I've had that teacher, like, here, let me help you out.
That's cool.
Or stuff like that.
When I was in school, there's an older Korean student. His name was Dung Ho. He did an amazing CG animated thing in the same class I was in.
Yeah.
But he had already gone to school maybe 2 to 3 years in Korea.
Oh, wow.
And I
Wow,
noticed that a lot about people. You've already gone through like your initial education process. You're like, I know exactly what I want to do. I'm not going to fuck around. I'm just going to come in and do it.
Right.
It happens a lot. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's a thing. If you can afford it, sure. Like, get your well-roundedness in, fuck around, and discover what you want. And then when you get serious about it, you do it. It's hard when you go from high school to adult.
Straight. Yeah. I would say along those lines. I would say it's probably not for everybody, but for me, like, I would kind of consider myself an academic in that, like, I really enjoyed, like, just kind of learning all of the different subjects, and just getting a well-rounded education really informed my artwork, just for me personally. And also just all of those different things. I don't know, the way I see the world is I see everything is kind of connected in some way. So, like, for example, like, I took, like, Communication 101, and we had to practice, like, getting up in front of a large crowd of people and talking, and, like, that's an essential skill that I've learned that is helped me in my career. Like, I'm not afraid to.
Required for us too.
Yeah, like now because of that class, like, I'm not afraid to, like, go give talks or whatever and give lectures or whatever. And it kind of has set me above kind of some of my peers, just having that leadership quality. And that's just one example. Like, even things like science or math or English or things like that. Like, all of those different things, in my opinion, and for me and for my career, have kind of set me above some of my peers, just because it's additional skills.
It's something we do mention occasionally on this podcast. Is like, there's no wasted class. There's no wasted skills. It's like, whatever you do, you can apply it. Like, a lot of people's like, that was a waste of time. It's like, well, you could have learned something out of it.
You have to make your own effort to make it worth it, right? Like, even like the worst class I probably ever took, like, I just was like, okay, what's the grain of content that I can take from this, and let me just at least hold on to that. Like,
I feel like 100%. It's also discipline. Oh my god.
Speaking of discipline.
No, speaking of discipline. Here,
just give me 6 more room.
More space.
Yeah, because I remember in my classes, those classes were, no one wanted to be in there, like that.
With us in general, I feel like we went to a newly founded school, and so there wasn't really an upperclassman level for us. So we were like guinea pigs, and it was really hard to, like, get a sense of direction or know, like, where we were gonna be in, like, a year from now, because the classes that we were taking had never existed before.
Yeah, that is difficult for sure.
And I feel like that's going to be even more true for more students nowadays, because like, even for games, like games, you've worked on VR games. How many students do you think nowadays are taking classes in VR and are going to end up working in VR? I'm mostly
talking about like the general ed stuff. Like, the general ed classes kind of, like, helped discipline-wise, because I remember there were a lot of people that, like, didn't want to be there, and then they didn't want to take those classes, and, like, they never did their homework, and, like, I don't know, I could tell that those people probably wouldn't be so great in the workforce, because, like, you're gonna end up doing work that, like, you don't always want to do in the very beginning, you know what I mean? Like, when I started out in my career, I started out in production, and that's, like, not art at all. It was a lot of, like, actual, like, computer work and all that, and and communication and stuff. So
Definitely, yeah.
I could say that a lot of the discipline that I gathered from those classes helped me a ton towards a job like that. Oh my God, Macy's. So, yeah. I like how you're preaching about that because everybody always dreads that.
The general eds?
Yeah.
I'd say it's not for everybody because there's definitely some people who just didn't benefit from that and they just wanted to get straight to it, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
It's different for everybody.
Did you you took your general eds at your college, right? Or did you?
Yeah, and then transferred them over. Yeah, I mean,
Smart move.
I you had to fight for it. In art school, you have to fight for it.
Yeah.
Especially schools like Laguna, where they have like their way of doing things, and you have to be like, look, this class counts for this class.
Yeah.
They're very similar. So you have to have some initiative as far as that goes. But save your money. Like, don't waste money taking the same class again. Like, just talk to administration and work it out. Get those classes transferred.
That happened to me twice. So
really?
I took a college class when I was in high school that was like a film class. It was like a film review type thing, and so you learned a little bit about filmmaking. Anywho, during college, I like dropped out for a quarter to go take general eds at a community college for like way cheaper, because at art school it was like $2,000 a class. But if I go to a general ed class at like LA Trade Tech, it was like $60.
Yeah.
So I did that,
$50.
and then when I transferred back into my school, they counted the one that I did in high school, but they didn't the first time, and I'm just like, wait, what?
It's our education system's a mess.
Yeah.
That's why communication is key. Like, if you can really communicate, especially with your administrator and like getting like your registrar or whatever, I don't know.
But we're also understanding they have a financial incentive to make you take as many classes as possible. So it's this negotiation.
You gotta negotiate.
That's the other
why
part
I
of it.
personally I was one of those people that was sick of general eds. I didn't go to community college, me personally, because I remember when I went and I told them what I wanted to do, they were like, you can't take any art classes yet. You have to take all these weird like general ed classes. But then like when I went to art college, they didn't tell me to take any of those general ed classes.
Yeah, it was like opposite.
They're like, you just need the simple stuff, like this basic math. But then like in community college, they're like, you need to take statistics 1, 2, and 3. I'm like, statistics? What? Like, so I don't know. I guess it also depends on what like community college you go to. But if you get a sense that they are trying to do that to you, and that's like, it shouldn't be that way, where like you can take the classes that you want to take at a community college or something, then like definitely talk to people.
Yeah, if you know what you want to do with your career, focus on that.
Yeah.
If you don't, then they're gonna prey on you.
Yeah.
So how was Laguna? Did you enjoy your time?
Yeah. So yeah, I had a great time. Obviously, like, there's no perfect art school out there, but a lot of it too is just about self-motivation. Like, I was very motivated. I had my path. I still really wanted to work for Insomniac Games or something similar. It could happen.
Yeah.
Insomniac, we know you're out there. What are you doing, huh?
Fire her.
And so like I said before, like, Laguna College of Art and Design is really focused on like Blizzard and other things as well, but there's just a lot of representation from Blizzard at that school, which is great. But it kind of frustrated me because I was never really interested in that kind of stuff, and I didn't want to really do that style. I wanted, I had my goal. I wanted the like PlayStation exclusives kind of style.
Yeah.
And so we get like a lot of cool people in from like Riot and Blizzard coming and talking to our classes and stuff, and I was like, let's get some people from like Sony Santa Monica and like Insomniac and stuff. And so like I like reached out to
right now.
Oh yeah. So like I reached out, like I made it my own initiative, and I like reached out to like HR from some of these companies and stuff, and I was like, come to our school, like, and not to say that our school doesn't do that, like, we, Laguna does that too, but like I just kind of did my own little bit of like trying to get people to come and give talks and stuff, and so that helped too. Like, we ended up getting like the Creature Box, the concept. There are a couple of concept artists that like did all like the Ratchet and Clank and stuff.
That's awesome.
And so like they got to come to our school, and that was so cool. And just a couple other opportunities, and yeah, and I'll also say that like I also went out to like I spent a lot of time going to Noman.
I know Noman,
Yeah, it's another school here in Hollywood. And they have a lot of free events, and so I spent a lot of time just going to those free events. There's some free events out in the Art Institute in San Bernardino, so I went out
Noman's
there.
considered a trade, right? A trade school,
I
right?
think recently you can get a BFA from them.
Okay, so
don't quote me on that,
Sure.
but I feel like recently they did that,
Okay.
where you can like transfer, like you have to have had your AA somewhere
Noman
else.
is a very
But then something like that.
like 3D based school,
Well,
and they're good if you want to get into games or feature film.
Yes.
I would agree, definitely. So I went there a lot, just for a lot of their free events. I went out to the Art Institute in San Bernardino.
Which I don't think exists anymore.
Maybe not. Probably not. I don't know. And
I
then
think our school's going down too.
Oh,
from what
no.
I hear, yeah.
Yeah, all the art institutes. So the Dream Center bought out the art institutes, and they're closing. They closed down a whole bunch of them, and they're just doing teach outs. So they're like sending students to other campuses that are nearby, or just finishing up their enrollments, like to like finish them out, so that they're not recruiting new students. The Dream Center is like a thing here in LA that like helps high school students get education. So they bought all of EDMC, and I don't think they intend to keep the art institutes outside of California.
Sign of the economy too.
For-profit college. We're looking at you, for-profit colleges.
Yep.
You're going down, okay?
Oh, dang.
So you went to Noman for a bit, and you took
No,
the
well, no.
No,
she
no.
I
went to
just
the-
I just like went to their free stuff. I'm just saying.
free
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I guess
they have
I guess
some great exhibits. I've been
Totally.
to a few of them myself. They're great. They have like a whole showroom for like you can just walk around, and they have like business cards and pamphlets. They have pamphlets with J.J. Abrams on the back of them. Like, what the fuck?
Noman's,
Sorry, Noman.
Noman's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
they're
deal.
really good.
Great studio.
They have all kinds of stuff. Like even now, I still go there for a lot of stuff. Like I was recently there for like a behind the scenes of some DreamWorks like animations or something. It was like a couple of side animations they did. And, like they're always doing awesome like free stuff. Also, another place that does free workshops is Gallery Nucleus out in Alhambra.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Another great spot. And so like I don't know. I just really
Take note.
I really scoured like the companies I wanted to work for, and whenever they did like some sort of talk or something in one of these locations, I was there. I was like, I'm there, and I'm gonna ask questions, and I'm gonna go up afterwards and have them like look at my portfolio, and like I was
That's
just
good.
I was maybe a little too aggressive, but I don't know.
No.
No, that's good.
That
That's your
drive is
career.
really
It's
good.
like I don't know.
You can't like expect much to happen if you're not looking for little side things like this. As a student, like if you're not looking outside your own school, you know, to
Well, to buttress that idea, because like I think people are afraid. In fact, a friend of mine just hit me up, also asking about animation work too. You can be too aggressive, but you also can't be too aggressive.
yeah.
Being aggressive, just saying like going to those events, talking to people, networking, that's not aggressive
Yeah,
at all.
right,
That's
right,
not too
right.
aggressive at all.
Totally.
But like what's being too aggressive is constantly like, hey, I'm that person, you got that job. Hey, this person, you got that job. Hey, where's that job? Can I get that job? Can I get that job? Can I get that job? It's like, stop it.
Yeah.
That's too aggressive.
Email
Yeah,
once
yeah.
or twice and like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
But like casting
Feel
a
it
wide
out.
casting a wide net, nothing wrong with that. Reminding people about who you are and that you're willing to look for work periodically, it's fine. That's
Brian.
good. Yeah.
Can I get that job?
Yeah. Right. Jesus. Yeah. But like they're and that's where like the communication side of it comes in. You learned
Totally.
how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
It helps so much. Like and also I also saw it more like I think it can be very intimidating if you're thinking about these types of events as like, oh no, like I'm networking and it's business, like these are and it also doesn't help if you like look up to these people too much. Like really just think of it as like these are just potential like future friends. Like you're just meeting people and hanging out and having a good time. And if something sparks from it, that's awesome. If not, like no worries. Like don't have too much of like a agenda.
Yeah,
when you
ideally
go
they
to
also
these.
go there expecting people wanting to network and networking with
Right.
other people they know too. So yeah,
Totally.
that's totally fine.
Just two guys having a good time.
What is that from?
Lonely Island.
Okay.
I didn't even know that was from any name. It's just you being retarded.
It's one of the earliest bits about like throwing a party. It's like just two guys having a good time. Just go to parties having a good time.
So
remember this.
I have a question. So was there any particular memory from your college that you can remember that like really stood out to you? Or any like specific class or any specific project that you did that...
Did you have a thesis film?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess like the game version of that.
But that's a separate question. It's not like...
She hadn't answered her question.
So you're asking you're asking about my thesis film,
and I'm asking for like a significant class or memory. Yeah.
Okay. I'll answer yours first, Nick. yours is a good question too. It's just a little hard. I gotta think about it.
She needs to think about mine.
I do not play favorites.
I'm clearly your favorite, right? I better be your favorite. If Brian's your favorite, I'll fight Brian.
That's fine. I'll lose.
So that's another thing. Like at least during my.
You just heard what I said, didn't you?
I love when that happens when you like register.
It like registers later, like the stream.
Yeah,
it comes around again later.
That's my life.
So that's another thing where I kind of set my own kind of path in a lot of things. Like, so for example, like at least in my class in Laguna, a lot of people kind of struggled like with what they wanted to do for their senior project. The senior project is a little more open-ended. It's not like animation where it's like, oh, make a film throughout the year. It's not quite like that since it's video games. Like some people are focusing on concept design. Some people are focusing on 3D modeling, characters, environments, whatever. So a lot of people are kind of floundering around just like, oh no, I'm graduating soon. Like, do I do characters? What do I do? So I think that can be kind of a challenge,
understandably
at least
so,
in our program. And at that time, I had already had an internship and had like kind of a path of like what I really liked doing. And so I
where'd you intern at?
The studio that I currently work at.
Got it.
Yeah, Servios.
So I gave him a freaking banana chip and he just like spit it out. I'm like, really? Do you want some? Sorry.
Sure, yeah. So I kind of like had an idea already, like actually a whole year and a half before. So like at that point in time, I already was like, I know, I already had an idea for my senior project, and I started like focusing all my classes towards my senior project, like 3 semesters early.
That's exactly what I did.
That's good. That's smart, right?
So 3 semesters early, I was already kind of making a thing, and the end product, I made like this little. My goal was to make like a Gravity Falls style like 3D game or trailer that looked like it was an actual game.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Was it like all mystery themed?
I modeled the Mystery Shack and some of the things from the show.
Was it point and click adventure?
The game, as far as the gameplay itself, since I'm not a programmer really, like you could run around and stuff, but for the most part, like what I really had fun doing was like putting together like a trailer. So I did some animations and just cut it together in like a fun like trailer, making it look like it was a full game. It's not.
A trailer is a good way to make a pitch too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing is like I had some experience doing some pitching, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. I love pitching.
Need to talk about that.
So when you made this and you finish it up, I'm assuming you had like a portfolio show of some sort that you showed this off at.
We had a couple of different opportunities for that. Yeah.
So your current workplace, did they see this and be like, oh, we want that, or did you?
I had already interned. I was already interning with them at the time, so I'd already like had my I was already in.
She was an intern
studio.
there at the
So
studio.
so how did you get your internship?
Okay, so the internship actually started like, so I like started looking for internships like maybe my second year, and I really spent like a whole semester just applying to maybe like 15 to 30 different places. Like it's really, really hard to find an internship, just because it's very competitive. But I spent a lot of time doing it, and of course, like I had like my top choices. Insomniac obviously was like one of my top choices, And
Insomniac. Just kidding.
yeah, so I spent a lot of time, really focusing on finding an internship, and I ended up going to a job fair at USC. Actually, it was like a VR job fair, virtual reality job fair. Because I was just like anything, like I was just going to anything that was kind of remotely related.
Had you done anything VR at that point?
And I can talk about this later, but as far as the art side goes, it's not too different. Like difference between like VR and non-VR. But no. Like there is a difference, but from the art side of things, it's not too bad. It's
more of like the making of like the.
You're making the assets. Yeah. There's some differences, but overall, like it's not too bad. But. So I went to that job fair, and that's where I found out about that internship, and it was just like one of the many that I had applied for, and so this was like actually a really big learning opportunity for me because I actually got pretty decently far in my Insomniac internship. Like I had gotten a call interview with them.
Oh wow!
And I like met with some of them at some other like GDC and some conventions, and was like asking them like how it's
GDC's Game Developers Conference.
Game Developers Conference, yeah. That was a whole other thing that was really awesome. So I know that I had gotten like pretty far along that, but at the end of the day, they said that it kind of came down to like me and a couple other candidates, and they chose a different candidate.
They messed up.
No, it was totally awesome because I ended up getting this internship with Servios, the studio that I currently work with, and at the time I think I was I was definitely a little bummed out and frustrated, and I didn't have I was silly. I didn't have a great like attitude towards this studio, but like at the end of it, like my perspective completely changed like 180. Like,
oh wow.
So like I really learned that like having those just not to have preconceptions about that kind of thing. Like it was a small studio, it was VR, kind of a startup at the time, and I was just like I don't want to work for a small studio. Like I want to work for the big guys. Like I want like to do serious work, and then now I feel like almost completely the opposite. Where like the small stuff is so fun, like and that's where we got to do some pitching and stuff.
Well, and the small stuff sometimes gets huge.
Exactly.
That's true.
And that's exactly what happened too. Our studio like tripled in size.
Rick and Morty was at a small studio. It started off at look where that went. So
that was like a huge learning opportunity for me because I had these preconceptions and they were completely proven false.
So you got in at like the ground level for the studio. So what are you doing for them
currently?
Yeah. What did you start off doing? So you started off as an intern.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a specialty when you were an intern? Like an animation you tend to be like a production intern or like a legal intern or wherever in the building they're putting you somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, so did you transition? Like, what did you transition into, and how did that go about? Did you, just that whole scenario?
Yeah, totally.
I noticed we just completely forgot about Sabrina's question.
Oh,
that's fine. We'll get back to it.
Question?
We'll get back to it.
Oh, now you have me thinking about her question. Though.
We can answer it really quick if you really
Yeah.
want
Let me think of a memory. Well, okay. So one of my favorite things about LCAD was a teacher. Shout out to Lou Police, an amazing teacher. There's a lot of amazing teachers at LCAD, but he was really special because in almost every one of his classes, he would take a day and he would take us all to the Huntington Library in Pasadena.
Ooh! Sorry.
Which is a really cool place.
It's the gardens, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
the Huntington Gardens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
I
really cool
love that
gardens.
place.
Okay.
It's a really cool.
Now we know something.
Really cool place. But so he would take us there, and then after that, we would go hang out at his house, which is not too far. And
Sorry.
It's really chill. Like it was super.
I know. I just at first it's like when you don't.
Yeah, no.
It was on the up and up.
No.
Jesus.
You hang out at his house.
No. Like it was just like very like.
No, I get.
It's really
I'm just messing
hospitable.
with you.
Yeah, like.
There was
I don't know.
joke
It's just
there.
something that like I think that all of us remember is just like just the kindness
to
of
bond
this.
with your teacher more than just outside of a class setting. I remember I had a similar like memory where like one of our teachers after class we all went to a restaurant. What was it? Big Wings. Do you know that?
I know
restaurant?
Big Wings. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's
one
on
in
Lancashire.
Hollywood.
Yeah, it's on Lancashire.
Yeah.
By our school. Yeah, we went there like after our class, and he took us all out, and like he paid for everything. And we were just like, wow, this is so fun. Like just to
It
bond
really makes
with
a difference.
Yeah.
What teacher was that? How come I never had any of their classes?
He was a psychology teacher that like I think he was like Indian, and like a lot of girls had a crush on him. Do you remember that
I
guy?
had him. I don't think he took me.
No. Probably not. You probably weren't his favorite class.
Oh no, he
We had a lot of fashion girls in our class that like loved him to death. So
yeah, he was very hip. When you can
he's
fit
very
into the skinny jeans, anyone will love you.
I forgot his name, but anyways. Okay, yeah, that's
So that was really special.
that's a nice memory.
Yeah. He has a really cool house. He has cool, like,
Yeah.
their whole family, he's like worked on all these stuff, and I don't know. It's,
That's awesome, and it's cool that did a lot of your teachers actually have legit
experience
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
that's good.
There were some that didn't have quite as much, but for the most part, like most of our teachers had experience, and that doesn't necessarily make a good or bad teacher. Having experience, you know, obviously like that helps, like they can answer questions and stuff about the industry.
Yeah.
But when it comes to teaching, there's
that's fair.
that's really
Yeah.
a tough thing. Like coming from experience, like I was teaching English a little bit when I was in my previous college, and like I couldn't teach in front of a class. Like I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's hard. It's not easy. So
I just know like we had some teachers that like graduated from our college and then went straight to teaching.
yeah.
And
We had
they
a few
only
like that.
Yeah, but they like my only issue with them was they taught what they learned in college, and it's just like
The cycle.
yeah.
Yeah, but even like you were saying that just because someone has professional experience doesn't make them a great teacher. That
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right, and some of these people, like I had a couple of teachers who were like kind of recent grads, and they'd had some freelance work, but they were just mostly straight out of school and teaching it again, and they're pretty good at teaching. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Varies.
So
So-
Nick, you had a question.
I don't remember my
Wait,
question
it was
anymore.
so you started off as an intern. What did your job entail as an intern?
yeah, so the studio at the time was relatively small, very startup, and you know, we were working on some cool projects. I don't know how much I'm like allowed to say, but
Say whatever you want.
but yeah, we were working on some really cool stuff, and
What was your
Yeah.
everyday tasks like?
so yeah, I guess my everyday tasks were very broad. Like I was doing a little bit of everything. Like I was animating.
This is a generalist, right?
Yes.
Yes, because you mentioned that
As
at the
your-
top of it.
yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have. That's not a job we have in animation specifically, but.
I don't know if
generalist.
it's necessarily a specific job in games either, but it's
Sure.
just because it's a small studio. I
Well,
mean,
and you
I'd
were an
imagine.
intern too, so like,
Yeah.
you had to have a different task as an
Right.
intern, right?
Yeah,
Right.
a bunch of my buddies who went into video games, some of them became generalists. And it's just a term that I know gets floated around a lot. Yeah.
I guess again, like I think a lot of the bigger studios don't tend to have journalists, and I'll say like we don't have them as much anymore currently. But yeah, at the time, I was definitely a generalist doing kind of whatever was needed because it's a smaller environment, and I got to like do a little bit of animation, a little bit of rigging, modeling, environments,
That's
characters,
cool.
like everything.
That's a good experience.
Yeah, and I remember like at the time I still had that like mindset of like this is like I'm at a small studio and I want to be specialized and I want to like do environment art and like you know get good at that. But then after kind of looking back on it, I was like that was actually really really fun to do wear all the hats and do a little bit
Yeah.
of everything. I learned a lot and I just enjoy jumping around. So that was
Considering also your educational living experience too.
yeah. Yeah, it's a common theme for me is I get antsy pretty quick.
Yeah, I
I think
recognize.
a lot of people suffer from that.
That's why I work
Yeah.
in television, not feature.
I got ants on my
Right,
pants.
Yeah. So
suffer
that was
that.
like really really fun, and discovered just some passions that I never knew I had. I think some of the time I was even doing like video editing and putting together like pitch material and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and,
for the company, for the games they're producing.
yeah, exactly.
That's a
and,
really good tip for
so
people.
fun.
Like,
So
if you
fun.
don't know what to do in your field specifically, try to find a job where, like, you can, like, what she did, like, wear different hats, or where you can communicate with all departments so you can figure out what you want to do exactly.
And how those other departments operate, so you can
Yes.
better help them. Let's say, like, if you didn't do environmental, but you were doing character rigging, it'd kind of be important to, like, how are these characters going to work with these environments? That's what I'm doing, texture and design and all that stuff. Yeah.
And how the communication works between each department, too.
Yeah.
Like, how does the character rigging department communicate with all the other departments
Yeah,
or
with the
something like that?
texture, layout,
Yeah.
concept artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at a bigger studio.
Oh, okay.
Because like at this point, like we kind of had departments, but it's just such a small studio.
So
Yeah.
what did you
Everyone.
when you
You're
were
sitting right next to the other department.
Right.
Like, it's just small.
So when you were an intern, how many people were there at the studio? You guestimate.
Yeah, like roughly around like 30 to 50.
And now
somewhere
how big are you
roughly
guys?
in there. Now we're like 3 times that.
Oh,
like,
wow. So
Over
50,
over
200.
100. Yeah, well over 100.
That's good.
Yeah.
So how did the transition happen from being an intern to getting a job?
Yeah, so I mean, luckily, like, I still had like a year and a half left of school after my internship, and they just brought me on as contract, and I kind of was going back and forth from Orange County to Los Angeles, Culver City, very often, and doing school and work at the same
Oh,
time.
I'm sorry. You're
So
crazy.
yeah. So I would not recommend that. But at the same time,
Yeah.
like.
If it has to be that way, it has to be that way.
It
I
didn't
guess,
necessarily have to be that way, but that's just something that I struggle with, is overworking myself, I think.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
But that's what passion does to you.
I guess. I think right now, like, I'm kind of in this fight mode where a lot of, and this didn't happen to me or at my company, but I see it happen to a lot of my friends where they're getting exploited straight out of school because they don't know any better, and they're, like, not being paid overtime or whatever.
That is definitely a big thing going on in the video game industry currently,
Yeah,
and
And it really,
animation not so much.
Oh, really?
For reasons
That's
because
good.
we have a union.
Yeah,
Oh,
union.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's non-union studios.
But
that's
there's
why.
also commercial work. Commercial work gets highly exploited. Anything in web gets highly exploited because think about it. Like, just really quick tangent.
No,
all these
totally.
all these recent industries are less than like 30 years old.
Yeah.
They encourage young people who aren't even talking about retirement because they're all
Yeah.
still working. So just working to the bone, working to the bone. But you talk about entertainment animation, we're talking about 100-year-old studios. So it's like, no, they've already had those fights that workers have had to say, hey, you need to pay us appropriately. We need to have families. We need to talk about retirement.
Yeah.
Video games, web haven't done that
Still
yet.
pretty young.
Yeah, super young.
Yeah,
That
like
makes
for
sense.
It's
instance,
about time.
Yeah.
I work for like a company that primarily releases videos on, like, we have a TV show for America's Funniest Home Videos, but like we release videos on Facebook, and that's all I do is Facebook videos at this point. Is just cat videos, nut shot compilations, and
26 videos.
All the
fail
important stuff.
videos, and dog fail. Like, I made a compilation of animals spitting on people.
But they're still operating like they're an entertainment. But they still operate like
So random.
like an entertainment firm, not like a web firm. I'd imagine people come in, do the 8 to 9, and they go. Yeah, like when my first job, I know I've talked about this on the podcast. That my first job, straight out of college, I was there. And I'm like, I can work all night. I can work until midnight, and they were like, no, we're gone. It's 6
Oh, yeah.
o'clock. I got
Yeah.
families. I got kids to feed.
Yeah,
All that stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I learned what being a worker is, and even though it was at a small
Getting your
company
stuff
too.
done
Yeah.
right away.
Small company, non-union company, but there was a
That's
standard.
good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just get a little protective because I see some of my friends and people getting exploited, and I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
because that doesn't only hurt them; it hurts
getting
everyone
some
else
questions.
also.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're not like in the industry or not familiar, like what happens is like these students straight out of college are getting hired and expected to work these long hours and not paid enough. And then, people who maybe are more experienced don't get those jobs because they cost more and they're not going to work those long hours. So it's hurting them and it's hurting the students because they're getting exploited.
Yeah, and they're just going to kick them out later, and then hire the next crop.
Exactly. As soon as they start complaining like, hey, we're working too long, they just hire another crop of people straight out of college. And that happens, I guess, because we don't have a union or whatever.
I mean, look no further than what happened with Telltale.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't know what that is, look it up.
That's
It's important.
I would always just say, like, stand up for yourself as much as you can as an individual.
And as a group.
As a group, yeah.
Communicate with each other.
Yeah. I'm just, like, saying, like, at the end of the day, like, there are times when, like, because sometimes people won't want to speak up, you know what I mean? So if you don't
scary.
have, if you don't have
scary.
that group to speak up with, always at least take care of yourself and stand up for what what you can do.
It's really hard. I mean, because I understand, like, you're fresh out of school, you need to pay off your loans, you really need a job, and you're not going to risk losing your job. I get that. It's so hard.
There's always that fear of being controversy at any studio.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
You don't want to,
a lot of these things get blown up.
Yeah, that's something that's just too much to ask for people who are in a exploited position, who have no power and no privilege. Like, coming straight up into a studio, I wouldn't expect anyone to be like, hey, we need to change everything.
Yeah.
It's the people who have the experience, people who've been there longer, the people who can see the system, who are more secure, who should be leading that change.
Yeah.
For the people under them and the people above them.
Yeah.
That's how that should happen.
That's really, that's good.
So, okay. I kind of want to, we were getting questions in, but I want to, like...
Yeah, we should go to some of her questions. She's our first guest on.
No, we're not done.
What are we doing?
I kind of want to, wrap up,
Wrap it up.
Okay, so they handed you the job pretty much, like...
Mm-hmm. They're like, as soon as you're ready.
Okay, and then so
after I graduated, I was like... And that was kind of another thing, too, is like, that was another question, like, should I just drop out of school and get straight to work, because I could have done that,
Real quick, were they paying you for the intern, or was it something?
It was paid.
Okay.
Woo!
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did they
not much, but
give
something.
you did you tell them what you wanted to do, or did they, like, tell you, hey, we have a job opening in this department? Like...
No, I mean, it just was a seamless transition. I was doing stuff, and I just continued working.
Doing stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are...
It's not very specific, I apologize.
Are you still an environment artist and a generalist? Or...
Yeah, so I think slowly, like, as the company grew, it's also a great learning opportunity for me, because seeing a company transition from something smaller to something larger, as a company grows, it has to become more departmentalized. Everyone has to have more of a specific skill set, and communication has to happen between departments and things like that. So I've kind of watched the studio, like, transition into that. And so I've kind of had to find my place in that as well. And so I guess I found myself more doing environment art. But I still kind of fight that a little bit and do, like, other stuff. Like, I'll do, like, marketing and screenshots and other kind of random stuff too.
It still sounds like it's in a transition too.
It's still transitioning, of course. It's still transitioning. I'm trying to hold on to the generalist thing as much as possible, but...
Well, what's great about that, when you're at a small studio and you've been there long enough, when it's growing, you can also kind of, like, set the rules.
Yeah, there's a place for that, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And then, like, the last question, I guess, before we go into questions is, was there any big struggle between any point in your life? Like, where was the area in your life where you had the biggest struggles?
Did you have, like, a gray zone where you're just like, we don't talk about that?
Or just, like, overall, like, really overwhelming dark times or something. Like, I know a lot of people, like, they have times where, like, they couldn't find a job or something, or, like, or maybe for you.
Yeah, you've been working consistently.
Yeah, you've been working consistently, so I'm pretty sure you just had a time where you were just, like, super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So what was, like, the biggest struggle for you in your life?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've had a very, like, privileged, like, pretty great experience and a great upbringing and everything, and so I've just been working hard to just, use what I have, right? And I think, yeah, for me, just the biggest challenge that I still kind of struggle with is just overworking myself. Not necessarily at work. Like, I'm very, like, when work is done, I'm not doing any more. Like, I work, you know, my 8 hours. And if needed, like, if it makes sense that we're crunching for some reason, you know, on a case-by-case basis, I'll put up with that a little bit here and there. But for the most part, like, when that's done, it's done. But
That's good.
you know, when I was working and in school at the same time, like, I rarely slept, and I guess I'm still kind of trying to figure that out, because even now, like, I go home and work on my own personal stuff, and I'm already working on, you know, my next section of the next part of my career, and I still I'm like, I gotta go to sleep, like,
Yeah.
you know, be an adult and be healthy. So you know, it's just something
Definitely
that I'm constantly just trying to get better. And I am getting better at that. But
Do you have
to
any
make an
tips for people?
effort. You have to make an effort. You have to make a conscious effort. The first step, I think, is to acknowledge what's going on. I acknowledge the fact that, like, I was overworked in school. I overworked, a lot of it I put on myself. I overworked myself, like, throughout school and throughout, you know, my working career. So I acknowledge that, and then the next step is just to take baby steps as far as just, like, you know, like, steps that you can take that are just easy. That, like, you know, making a rule for myself, like, go to bed by 3 a.m. or something like that. That's first step. And then the next step.
Baby steps.
And then the next step, like, you know, like, little by little, right?
it.
Like,
She sounds like an alcoholic. like she's weaning off of, like,
Yeah,
a
all
late
sorts
bedtime.
I'm
Oh my
eating off of
God,
my
3
late
a.m.
bedtime.
We're working on it.
It's like, oh crap, I stay up until 4. Oh, I'm the worst.
Oh my God.
It's just an example. You guys, yeah.
I see.
You know what I mean.
Okay.
I'm moving on to another beer in that.
Okay.
Oh, man.
All right, so we already have a couple questions going over here. Did you want to ask us questions, or did you want to answer some questions first?
Let's answer.
Let's answer these questions.
Okay, there's a shout out there too.
The Omega said, your friend, you won Quan?
Yay, one? Oh, no way.
You won.
Hi, Yay.
They say, hi,
That's
Lauren.
awesome.
Good seeing you. Heart,
Oh my
heart.
gosh, I love you. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
I think she's all the way in Korea right now.
Whoa!
I think. Yeah, last I talked to her, she was in Korea. She's
It's
my
not
friend from
still,
Washington.
It's so cool.
She's my friend from Washington.
Oh, hello!
Yeah.
Is she also
Whoa.
working games?
No, I don't. I'm so sorry, I don't remember exactly what you do, but
You're in
she's-
Korea. that's
message
she's
her,
done
good.
a
find
lot of
out.
different things. Like
she remembers you.
She was teaching English with me back in Washington.
Oh,
okay.
And I know that she's doing, like, I don't know, like, community stuff, things like that. I don't know exactly.
I mean,
but-
it's hard to know what people are doing, even in animation. Like,
Mhm.
I have trouble knowing what Brian's doing any given in any point because he's doing so much.
That's fair.
The Omega. Hi, the Omega. Wait, who is the Omega? Do we know them?
I don't know. I've never seen them comic before.
Hi.
Who are they
Hi,
saying?
Omega.
Hey.
Just a general hi, or they got a question?
No, they got a question. They said, do you feel like they should teach more modern stuff in school instead of the old stuff, which some people were taught years ago?
Oh, that's a tough
And he
one.
said, #love the doggo.
Oh,
Aw.
Meeseeks.
He looks
I don't
really
think you
cute on camera.
you didn't
right now.
introduce Meeseeks.
Yeah, this
That's
is me.
Meeseeks. That's my dog, Mr. Meeseeks.
Bark. Speak.
No,
Speak.
don't. We got speakers and mics, and
Speak.
don't encourage that.
Speak.
Oh
He
boy,
might.
here it goes.
He might. Speak. Speak. He's like, why are you making me speak, guys?
God,
It's okay. He doesn't want to.
stop
Giving
it.
us the side eye.
Answer the question.
Yeah. So yeah.
Old stuff versus new stuff. I think that's a great debate. I would say I'm kind of a gray zone type of person. Like, I always say this, and I say, like, yes and no. I would say I learned a lot of the fundamentals at my art school, and that really helped me get a good eye for things, and it's also helped me, like, transition and do, like, a wide variety of art. So the fundamentals, like figure drawing, you know, really on paper, and sculpting and things, like the hands-on old school stuff, I guess, I'd say, at least for me in my career, has been really, really helpful. At the same time, it was helpful to, you know, learn some of these programs because, yeah, you can always learn on the job, but it helps to have that on your resume to be like, yes, I know, like, Maya, I know substance designer or whatever the program is, and they can go, oh, he or she already knows that. Let's hire them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like somebody once said, it was in my ZBrush class. The teacher was like, what was it? You can know every single program out there, but if you have no drawing skills
There you go.
to back it up, like, he could tell in the class who had really legit drawing skills by people's sculpts, because when you know how to draw and like when you know how to translate like a 3D object onto paper, you have like an understanding.
A much better understanding.
Yeah.
Well, it's design.
Yeah.
It's design.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like he could tell all the people that drew really well were gonna come out with really good sculpts.
Yes, absolutely.
So yes, the old stuff is super important, and that should never be skimped on, like, or passed
especially
up
if
on.
that's what they're referring to as the old stuff. If they're talking about like old programs that aren't really relevant anymore, it was like,
Then,
of course, you don't
no.
need to learn that stuff. If you're
Like
talking
Flash?
about
That's true.
basic
Flash?
fundamentals of art,
Yeah,
gotta
I think they
know.
also
Yeah.
might mean too. Like they also might mean animation, like old school
well, like if,
animation.
I
you know what
would
mean?
understand if they didn't learn
Like
how to do.
hand-drawn animation stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want,
I'd call it fundamentals. I don't know.
I would say if you don't know like basic 2D animation, that's fine. But you need to know how to draw. You need to learn the basics of animation, squash and stretch, exaggeration,
Yeah.
flow, arcs, timing, if you want to be an animator. Even a 3D animator.
Yeah,
Because the better
that's very
3D animators understand all those principles. That's why
Yeah.
feature films
Especially
look
for
like feature
games,
films. Yeah.
like what was it? Ratchet and Clank.
yeah,
Ratchet
yeah.
and Clank is
It's
very
it's-
cartoony.
It's a cartoon,
Yeah.
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 And all Pixar,
It was a movie.
yeah, all Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, those the best animators do. You can see their 3D animated films and watch what they do in 2D, and it's exactly the same. So yeah,
Which begs the question: why aren't they doing 2D?
they need to like even school like we had a 3D artist. We had several 3D animated programs, but only one 2D animated program, and all the better 3D artists took the
Took
at
the
least took the 2D class. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got something out of it.
Totally.
And I wish the 3D classes would at
That's
least
so
teach those fundamentals. Like that way,
Yeah.
you don't have to take the 2D class, but you need to learn those fundamentals.
Yeah. I'll say like
Yeah.
as far as games go, the programs that you actually use in games like changes a lot. Like, I don't know, like just those programs, like be aware of what's actually being used in the industry, because it's very likely that the art schools just aren't savvy with that, and they might be teaching you something that we don't use anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
So just like contact people in the industry and see like what programs are you guys currently using, because it changes really a lot, like very quickly.
Yeah,
So-
because
so
when I
like-
was in school, it used to be 3D Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
And
think they use Max
some
anymore.
still use Max, but
interesting.
like, yeah, it depends.
So at your studio, what's the big software that they should know if they're looking to get into servos? What would they need to know?
Serbios.
Serbios.
Oh, it's all good. No worries. it's a tough one to pronounce. We use Maya, but if you know 3ds Max, that's okay too. But for the most part, we use Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, Substance Designer. Those are your basics.
And and you're doing mostly like game art, like
It's a game studio.
so you're doing you're mainly like I'm trying to get like an idea of like where you're probably in like early production of stuff, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Tough.
I don't know
all
if there's
over?
such thing as like early production in our studio.
Oh, really?
We kind of just
Late.
we
Production,
just
kidding.
jump straight in. I don't know.
You just built the whole thing.
Yeah.
She's like, I had an idea for a game, guys. And it's made.
Well, they have clients, so.
There's yeah.
You're
It's
welcome.
I could talk about it, but I'm not sure what I'm allowed to
Okay.
specifically
we had
say,
we had
but-
another question.
What was this regarding to? I know it was like regarding our earlier
What's it say?
topic. It says, do they get paid in exposure?
I mean,
Oh, the whole like exposure thing.
yeah. I mean,
I-
that's a thing that exists in our industries.
Well, that's
it's
just
not
an
a-
excuse.
Yeah, it's not a good thing at all.
So the excuse is that the employer will say like, "Oh, it's not paid technically with money, but you'll get great exposure working here. It'll look great on your
Oh,
resume
okay.
if you work here, but we won't pay you with money."
Okay,
That's an
so-
excuse.
even
Okay.
Don't
even
take
if,
that.
yeah, even if the larger studios offered you something like that, they can
Mhm.
afford to pay people.
And
Yeah.
look up the laws in your state or your country, wherever you are, because I think in California it's illegal
Oh, really?
Yeah, to not pay interns.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Or
It's like a
college
new
credit.
rule.
Pay or college credit.
Pay or
one of the
college
two.
credit,
Yeah.
I think. So, yeah, be aware of those, because then you can just give that straight to your employer's face. Just be like, this is illegal.
Yeah.
Don't do that. So,
And we
it
have
helps.
Sam Neill. It's a well. You can still. I'm sure you can still answer the question too. What's the best advice you would give to a graduating student in media arts and animation?
Best advice you can give to a graduating student?
Yeah.
It's I understand where you're at, because it's a stressful time and you're like still kind of figuring out what you want to do, and you don't really know what you want. But I'd say just shotgun effect. Try and find a studio, get into a studio, and that will help you find what you really want to do. Because if you hate what you're doing, then that will help you know what you actually like doing.
Yeah.
Or if you love what you're doing, then there you go, you found it, right?
That's such a huge thing.
Yeah.
Figure
So
out what you hate doing versus love doing.
yeah, and also consider like don't make my mistake where I was like, I had such a bad like preconception about my small studio at the time, because I had that conception of just like, oh, I'm not stoked about this internship. You know, this is a small studio, and then look at it like I look back very fondly at when the studio was small and I could do so many different things. So I would say like apply to those things that you think maybe maybe you're not interested in. Maybe you are. Like maybe you just don't know it yet. Like
Plus work's work.
Work is work.
Yeah.
Work is work.
Don't be
Also,
picky.
if you do end up getting a job that you really don't like, don't let that frustration get to you, because a bad job is just as informative as a good job. Like
Definitely, that's great advice.
Having a bad job is really great, because you kind of like funnel your frustration, or it really clarifies for you like what is a bad job, and it also clarifies like what you don't like doing.
Yeah, and you can clarify what to look for in the future when
Exactly.
you're applying to jobs.
So don't worry about like finding a bad job, because that will inform you in many ways a lot more than having a perfect job.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So-
I've worked with people who've had nothing but like smooth jobs their whole career. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and then they don't know, right? They don't know, like...
when they get hit with a bad job, then they just can't handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having a bad job is actually really, really helpful. So don't be afraid of
And
accidentally landing a bad job. Like, it's still really helpful.
and on that note, I've worked with a lot of people who are younger, and they have like this notion that they should be doing more and that they can do more, and you don't necessarily need to be doing more if you're working for a studio. Just chill. You're doing what you're doing.
Maybe
you
I
don't
need that advice.
don't focus so hard. I at my current job, I work with a lot of younger people, and a lot of them are very like, they're stressed out and they feel like they could be doing so much more. They don't need to. It's like, if the company doesn't ask you to do something, you don't need to do it.
Yeah. The company will not
enjoy your time.
rise, fall, and succeed on everyone's individual personal efforts.
Exactly.
There's a lot of decisions made at the top
Mhm.
and market forces that determine that.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things that happen in studios behind the scenes that you don't know about. Like, someone could be friends with someone, and that's why they're in a certain position of why they're in it. Or they could, they have great connections with talent or other artists, or maybe they're just really awesome people.
Yeah. I that might also be just a thing with a generation coming up, but I think that's the thing everyone experiences when you're new, and you're like boundless energy and time, and versus like you just get older, it's like, oh,
yeah,
I just
whatever.
want to go home and pet my cats.
Yeah.
That's all I
Or
want to do.
dogs.
Or dogs, but mostly cats.
Well, I
I'm a
think...
dog. B6B cat.
I think part of
Yeah.
that too, at least for some people, like at least for me, I have like this kind of inner need to express myself artistically, and I think that in
Do your side projects, do your own work.
yeah, because I was gonna say, like, I think like in entertainment, a lot of burnout happens because you're expecting to get that artistic fulfillment from your job, but here's the thing, like. Maybe in some maybe in some workplaces you can, but in others it might be more difficult because the production happens fast. Like you don't have enough time to really see your artistic vision, or you might have people above you who are dictating what you do, or maybe you have a job that you can't do what you really your artistic vision. So the entertainment industry is commercial. They're clients, and you're making stuff for your clients. You're never gonna have the perfect. Well, I'm never say never, but overall, like, you might have challenge trying to get your artistic expression out at your work. Do personal projects if that is if that's the case for you, and you really have that need to be artistic. Take time for yourself and do your own projects on the side, because you'll just get burnt out trying to fight the system.
And then it's
can really hard.
And then you can stretch yourself on your own project, but that's something for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not something for nobody else.
Because most of the time, you're not going to be drawing stuff for you. You're going to be drawing some other person's vision for the most part, unless you become like a creator or something. But even then, when you're a creator, you also do very little like actual drawing, because you have a team to draw your stuff.
And that comes with its own stresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And also, I was discussing with someone the other day, like, it sucks that, like, when you do art for a show, it sucks that, like, you have to hold on or hold back from showing your work for a while until it airs. And then there's like a short period of time where you get to actually show your work, and then it's like, all right, well, that's done and over with. Whereas your personal artwork, you can show your personal artwork every fucking
That's
day.
a good point.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're in charge of yourself. Like, you're your own art
director.
Like, it's fun.
And, like, no one's telling, like, no, you can't draw that fan art. Like, no one's saying that. You know, you can do whatever you want, post whenever you want, and like, you get that quick satisfaction of, like, showing people or posting online, and people, like, you know, like your stuff, versus, like, I don't know, I know a lot of us in the industry, since a lot of us have a hard time drawing for ourselves and posting online for that reason and stuff.
I remember
like,
being 20.
It's just, like, I feel like people always, like, ask, like, how come you don't draw? It's just, like, I do that for a living, so it's hard. Not, like, it's hard to do it at home or something, you know? Or when people ask me for requests or something, I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, it's real hard. It's real hard. You get home and you're just like,
you're burnt out.
I've got stuff to do. Like, I gotta do laundry, and I gotta, like, do the
or
dishes.
Or you just gotta do other stuff, you know? Like,
boring
some people...
But like, if you don't...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some people want to play games.
I think the important thing is, like, don't beat yourself over it.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up if you choose to be super proactive, or if you choose not to be.
Yes.
Yeah. Work, like we said earlier, work is work, and you will find your place as you go forward.
Yeah, I'm one of those type of people.
But if you can find, like, a good company that has like a good community, and, like, you know, will, like, do things that, like, together, I think that's always a benefit. Like,
always.
Like, I think when you work with people who are really fun and
like this.
Yeah.
You guys are fun.
Oh, thank you. I think Brian's me and Brian, you know, speaking of fun, me and Brian had some great fun.
We did.
At a film festival the other weekend.
We sure had a lot of great fun.
Did we ever discuss our
we did not
con
talk about
too?
That. We didn't
mention it briefly.
We streamed the live stream.
I know, but did we ever discuss it after the fact?
No, because this is our first show after that.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. I actually wanted to ask you, since there's no... Oh, wait. Have you ever put some of... Oh, and you're welcome, Sam Neill. Have you ever put... No, why was the message
retracted?
Don't retract
it! What Omega?
He'll ask it. Okay, while he's typing that.
Don't assume they're gender.
I wanted to ask... Or she... I'm sorry.
Or they.
I'm
They
sorry.
is fine.
They... I'm sorry. Don't come for me. I wanted to ask about the submission that you gave us for the contest. Like,
oh yeah, how long did it take you to do?
How long did it take? What was your vision in the beginning? Like, what were you like trying to go for and all of that?
Well, my personal projects are purely for fun. So I just wanted to. I really liked the anniversary animations for Cartoon Network. That was like really stylized.
It definitely was in that style.
Yeah,
so
I just was like,
that.
I want to do something like that. And then I saw, like, I was just trying to do shows that, like, you guys have all, like, worked on. So I think you guys all worked on those ones.
Yes, you were correct.
I worked on all three.
I didn't work on Uncle Grandpa, but I know Pete.
Cool.
And then Common Quest too.
He's taller than he looks.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, and then I also wanted to work with my sister because she's awesome. And it just took me the course of the month, like when you guys,
oh, cool.
when you guys announced it, and then
It was very well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very,
well
very
done.
much. I just had fun. I'm learning Flash on the side, so just used it as an excuse to learn Flash. So
Also,
Cool.
very
and have
good.
some fun.
Very smart. And it's like, I can kind of fuck around this program and learn it.
Yeah, and we could tell that you had fun doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
It was so
I
colorful.
take my personal projects seriously, and that it's just got to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not having fun, and then I stop doing it. I'm like, no.
What's your sister's name and what's her plug?
Yeah.
Kristen. Her handle is K10 KAYTEN K10.
Is that on Instagram?
Yeah, she's on Instagram. She's on Twitter. She's on Facebook, and other stuff. I'm sure.
Is she as cool as you?
She's way cooler than me.
Whoa.
She is so cool.
Whoa.
She went to this really
Dang.
cool music production school, knows all these cool like DJs.
Musicians
stuff,
are another.
and
Yeah.
She's awesome. I love my sister. So
I think I saw her Instagram. I think like she has a huge following or something on Instagram or something
she's
like
getting
that.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's so cool.
Good job. Good job, sister.
Yeah, sister.
We gotta get her in the animation episode. You can like be a part of that and share.
Yeah.
Wait, for
Yeah, for Lauren's animation.
oh, wait, what are you saying?
Fuck it, who cares? I'm just saying, if the sister's involved, it's like put the animation so she can also link it on Instagram, and we can get some.
Oh yeah, you're just like
God.
bumming
Oh yeah,
off,
I should
like-
have put that in my email. I didn't even think about
Is
that.
she here in California as well?
Yep. Mhm.
Oh wow.
Not far from here.
Has she done any like commercial work and stuff or?
She's working.
Well, she's still young. She's probably just graduated,
She's
right?
pretty young. Yeah. She's working on her own stuff right now. I don't know. I'm sorry, Kristen. I can't plug your stuff perfectly.
If she ever does work for animation, let us know. 'Cause
Yeah.
we can have her on.
We haven't had any composers yet. We'll get
Yeah.
She's more. I don't know. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to
No,
be
too
wrong.
much. Yeah.
Well, I just don't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
She's just incredible. She makes awesome music. She's really good at singing.
Yeah.
She's so cool. So check out her stuff. If you want to know more about her, check out her stuff.
Questions? Any more questions? On
Oh yeah, there was one more.
Oh, it's unretracted now.
No. Yeah. This will probably be our last question for the YouTube feed.
Oh, let me check the other ones.
Have you ever put some of your own artistic vision into work that you have been asked to do and it turned out okay?
I have. If that was directed at me, I would say yes.
Not
I always
direct-
put.
It's not directed at you, Nick.
Have the Lauren ask first, I guess.
Have you ever put some of your own?
No, but
artistic
that's
vision
awesome.
into
Whenever
work
that
you have been
happens,
asked to do?
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, it hasn't happened yet? You haven't gotten a chance
No,
to do it?
definitely
Okay.
that's happened.
I hope
You have
so.
to pick and choose your battles. Like it's hard because, like I said, like there's the vision is not usually your vision, and so finding ways to put your own, stuff in there is key. Luckily at my studio we definitely have a lot of leeway, and especially like on our boxing game, I got to do like half of those environments, and so I really had a lot of leeway just as far as like the vision of each environment, so it was really, really fun.
In my opinion, I'd say studios nowadays are almost halfly expecting you to put your input into something that they're having you do if it's a creative position, because they want to have just a little bit of flair in every thing that they do. If they want to hire a background designer, they want to have a background designer that's got style. If they want to have a character designer, they want a character designer that's going to like be different than everything else. Like look at all the new shows that come out or the new games that come out. Everyone is a little bit unique or different, and that's the great thing about art, is that you can really
Which should be
like
collaborative.
signify yourself out as like from a whole crowd.
Yeah, it should be collaborative too. So you're hiring people because you.
Oh yeah,
appreciate what
and
they
you
do.
build upon each other, and you make all these layers, and you make beautiful end products in general. And that's what entertainment is all about, is making a collaborative effort while getting paid for it.
Right.
The Omega said it's directed at all of you, you bunch of amazing people.
Oh, Jesus.
Aww.
I don't do well with praise.
Clearly.
I'm trying to think
You're
of.
like, thanks.
I mean, I got a bit coming out in the episode Rick and Morty I'm currently working on, which I got the. It was literally like a throw-out line. I wasn't saying like, oh, I'm super creative, but like it's a thing that I talked to someone about, and they said let's put that in. I'm like, cool, that's me. But
That's
I mean,
awesome. That's
outside
so
like
cool.
Rick's ship, I designed that when I did the initial
way.
boards on that.
Oh shit!
And a bunch of other, like, just kind of like, when you do boards, like, especially on Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go, any sequence you do is, like, almost 60% the board artist.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, because it's like, you just read the script and it's like, well, I'll plus this joke this way, I do this
Yeah.
little move this way, and, like, since board artists is so attached to the acting and the performance of it,
Yeah.
that's us.
And designers
that.
go off of whatever board artists do. Like, they'll always, like, say, just do what the board artist has here.
Yeah.
Like, go by the board.
But ideally, I think it's better when the designers plus what the board artists
Yeah.
do, because I don't have time to think about what the character's wearing or all
Yeah.
like the little eccentricities.
Well, it's all about communication,
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Like, we'll come and communicate to you guys, and then you guys will tell us, like, to either go more with it or have fun with it, or just, like, be like, nah, like, stick to this.
And ideally, we're all in the same headspace. So I was like, oh, like, for example, in, goddamn, Morty's Mind Blowers, when they had that, the cold open with that guy chasing Morty, and I was like, that's Sandman. It should be Sandman. And, that wasn't the script, but I was like, we should do a Neil Gaiman thing. And Neil Gaiman tweeted at Rick and Morty saying, like, oh, it's Sandman. I was like, oh my god.
Oh, wow! That's awesome!
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very,
That's
very
awesome.
cool.
So yeah, with, like the designers, us, we're all in the same headspace because we know like Neil Gaiman's work. So I was like, yay, that's animation fun, and we can do
That's
that
super
sometime.
cool.
I
Yeah.
just
That's super
recently
cool.
did a comic with Rick and Morty that just came out. Hit plug.
Yeah.
But that was like that was my most fulfilling. It's issue number 43. Go buy it.
There's 43 of these things?
Oh,
guess
it's probably
so.
more because
I've got like
summer ones,
5.
too.
My
Yeah.
god, I am so out of date.
Just
That
get
was my
trades.
most like fulfilling. Be creative with it and take your own direction with it. Because all they gave us was like the writer does a script, and it's kind of like storyboarding, where like you basically turn the script into actual visual art. And I've never had that power before because I'm not a board artist. So I did it, and I got no notes
Oh,
on it.
wow.
Oh, what?
Nice.
Yeah, like we got no notes,
That's
and I was just like, whoa, wow, like I felt very accomplished and very like, wow, like my confidence boosted,
Well,
like
this is not your first time doing a narrative story, though, right?
taking a script and turning
Or
it into
anything, even your own thing.
the last time I would do something like that was like maybe back in college. It's been a while because I've only ever just done like design work, like characters and stuff.
Yeah.
That was literally like my first. I want to say like a storyboard artists like and storyboard art and comic art like kind of go hand in hand with
Yeah,
each other.
they're
a lot.
different, but
Yeah.
there's
Because
similarities.
one's not moving, one's not being animated, so you can like go nuts with it in a sense. Where and then another one is gonna be animated, and so you have to think about it in like more animated, like an animation.
It's more
moving art.
cinematic. It has
Yeah.
to be. Yeah.
So I just knew like I had to grab a lot of things that I learned in storyboarding art class or something, remember all of that, and then apply it to the comic. So it was just like, I don't know, it was me figuring out to see if I still like if I even had that skill set, and
Yeah.
then just like, I don't know.
But they just explain,
Yeah.
because you're right. Storyboarding and comic book art can go hand in hand. There's some similarities, but
Yeah.
like design work to any sort of narrative storytelling is vastly different.
Yeah, yeah.
So like you're probably like your risks in doing all design stuff help you probably like generate your art faster. But that still isn't like
Yeah.
you're proving that like I can also tell a story on top of that.
Yeah, like making the design work definitely helps. Not only like making it go faster, but also making things technically accurate,
Yes.
like perspective and like.
Yeah, because a lot of people think character designers also tell stories, and like that's not always
No.
the case.
So I have a question on that. I've always thought of it as like when you work it in a studio and you're really looking to move forward in a position, Brian, that if you're a storyboard artist, it's easier to move into a director role.
Yes.
Because you're working in sort of the same category, and it's harder for someone who's in like backgrounds or cleanup or character design to move into that role. So
That's not the track. The track for character designer, maybe background artists and even painters
art
would be art director. Yeah, like
Oh.
I'm not above an art director. An art director manages the designers. That's their track.
Yeah.
But a director, it'd be like supervising director, and like a supervising director and art director, are like it's basically the same level.
They just
Okay.
handle different
Yeah,
departments.
just handle different departments.
Yeah, because what I saw was like a supervising director sort of like reviewing cuts and like giving like notes on the film aspect, like the like the edit of everything.
And the supervising director can talk to design and the art director, but they're not over the other.
Okay.
If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. They kind of like handle their own.
Yeah, and I mean, and like in live action, they have similar breakdowns as well. I'm not as fluent in that. I'm sure game does as well, but it's just, yeah. If you want to be a director, you should board.
Yeah, and
sure.
a lot of directors / storyboard artists, they are handed the opportunity. They're like more trusted to have their own TV shows, to be showrunners
Because
they
storytelling.
because of storytelling.
Well, and they touch like everything, right? Like,
Not so much.
No.
Directors and supervising directors, yes, but
okay.
a board artist doesn't need to know how to design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but storytelling is key for like a new show or whatever.
Yeah, because you have to be funny, you have to be entertaining. I mean, that's it essentially. Like, you can sell a show just on a look. Like, there's plenty of designers who are just like fantastic designers and get shows made.
Oh, yeah.
They're,
Yeah,
like,
just by their aesthetic.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you have to be really up there.
Yeah, and I'm sure they like collaborate with a writer or like with
Definitely.
a board artist or something.
I would say even Rick and Morty had an aesthetic that was sort of different at the time, like with the pupils.
Oh yeah, everyone's talked about those pupils. It's just how
I feel like it's a thing that's like it's not really
It's evolved.
mentioned
Yeah.
much anymore, but I feel like that was when it first came out. People were like whoa, look at those eyes.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking eyes, like when Simpsons aired and like Matt Groening does like the two eyes connected. That was a big thing. But now it's just
Really?
like that's just his style.
Yeah.
No one questions it anymore.
Yeah.
Huh.
Fascinating.
Your mommy says love.
Oh, that's.
Hi, I'm so proud of you, and I love you,
Hey.
She was singing your praises.
I
That's
love her
awesome.
username.
Love you.
MSL529.
That's such a like
Just
parent.
blasting the mom. Blasting the mom's name out there, all right? Fine.
And the Omega said that's so loving.
Aw. Mom.
He or she, are you?
They.
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 If you want to specify, you can, so we can stop
Their
fucking up.
gender is Omega.
Omega says, Lauren, what's your favorite thing you have ever worked on?
Yeah.
Mm.
Out of the
That's a good
3
question.
games that you've shipped,
That
which
I've
one
shipped.
that you've shipped? What are the best games?
Shipped.
Which one did you have the most fun on? Which one do you feel or most fulfilled? Most what was most in like the vein of you?
I don't have favorites, but
You said that earlier.
That was great.
I like how consistent
yeah,
she
I
is.
don't have favorites. But I'll say like what was fun about each one. Like, I didn't do a whole lot on raw data. I did mostly like prop work and stuff. But that was really fun. Just kind of learning the pipeline that our studio used for that. Electronauts was really fun. The team was a lot kind of smaller, and the production flow of that was kind of all over the place. So it was just really a lot more artistic, I think, that project, and really loved just the team, and the game itself is really cool and fun to play, just like DJing in VR. It's a music game. And it's very like kind of psychedelic. The visuals are like very colorful, and so,
That's cool.
so that was really fun. And then Creed Rise to Glory was also super fun. It's a boxing game, and that one was cool because on that one I had a little more like direction, but it was I had a lot of kind of freedom to just create like just a lot of different environments, and that was also a really small team, and really, really great to work on that project too. So I'm sorry, I have no favorites, but they were all fun for different ways.
Another thing that demonstrates, just like in animation, but also in games, like you work on a variety of projects. That helps you stay working. And like it's different when you're in studio, so you're just like, this is the project you're working on. It's like, I guess I gotta do that.
Yeah.
But like to stay working in animation is like, I can do children's television, I can do adult television, I can do action shows. It's just relevant as like, I can do this kind of design, that kind of design. You bounce around from different projects and you learn things.
Totally.
Yeah.
I will say also with the boxing game, when I started working on it, I just started taking like boxing classes on the side.
Oh,
Nice.
wow. No.
Because I just wanted to like get into it, and of course like do some research
No.
and like see what gyms.
No.
see what gyms look like, and
See what gyms look like.
well, because I had to like make boxing gyms. you
What's
know?
a gym?
And then I got to go.
That's my second home.
I went to like some boxing shows, matches
Yeah.
and stuff, and
No, let's call them boxing shows. That's what they are. They're boxing
Boxing show.
shows.
And so like since then now like boxing is a huge hobby of mine. Like
I was gonna ask, like,
love boxing.
so that's a good segue. What you just said boxing. What other hobbies do you have on the side of work?
That was one of my questions for you
Yeah,
guys.
I noticed that. Why don't we just all answer?
I didn't know
Because
she
I
had
think
questions
hobbies
for
is
us,
a
though.
very important thing to do. It's just
So do you box?
I sure.
No.
I enjoy going to boxing class.
Oh,
and
that's why you were boxing my dog earlier.
still fresh on the mind.
Yeah, that was funny.
Um,
I just put those two together because she was literally going like this to Meeseeks earlier, and Meeseeks is going.
It was fun. It was cute. Yeah, I think it's really important to do something that doesn't have to do with your career, that you don't have to worry about whether or not you're good at it. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Purely just have fun. And so, like, before boxing, I was doing improv. I went to a school called IO in, it was in West Hollywood. It unfortunately closed, but... but that was really fun, and it's just fun to just do something and be like, I don't care if I'm bad at it. I'm just gonna go and have fun. And it's really freeing, so I highly recommend having a hobby. But
That is.
a good thing.
do you guys have hobbies?
What about you, Brian? Yeah, you
Oh,
start
God.
first.
So I volunteer at Cat Shelter on Mondays, Kitty Bungalow. They do TNRs, which is trap, neuter, and release for stray and feral cats. We
Okay.
get them socialized, get homes. It's non-kill, obviously, because fuck that noise. And I do kickboxing. I've been doing that for a couple of years. The same dojo that's where the studio is,
Yeah.
so it's very convenient.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you
God.
just go downstairs
Yep.
right after work. I remember
No
that.
way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
But
That's so
I've
convenient.
been doing it there, and then Rick and Morty moved there later. I was
So
like, this is the
it
best.
just was perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
I enjoy that spot immensely. What else I do? Games, video games.
That's a hobby.
I participate in other podcasts, One Piece podcasts,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
He's a podcaster.
Yeah.
He interviews famous Japanese anime directors.
Yeah, occasionally when I'm allowed. I don't fuck up. Yeah, and traveling because of work now too. For people
Woohoo.
want to talk to us for some reason.
He's so humble.
God.
That's so cool.
Stop being so humble.
No,
Humble
but
brag.
most of the time I just hang out.
Humble brag.
Most of the time I just hang out with friends, play games, travel, eat, go to events, movies.
Eat.
What's your favorite game?
Oh, of all time, or
Well,
just
like
right
in the
now?
last year.
Just kidding.
No.
Not the last year, Sabrina.
I mean, if I would say all time, I'd say Chrono Trigger.
Okay, that's a
Easy.
good one.
Nice.
I mean, the fucking wearing the shirt.
I like the frog guy.
Yeah, Glenn. His real name Glenn. Codename Frog. Spoiler. Last year, I mean, XCOM is always great. XCOM 2 is fantastic. Yeah, I'll stick to that.
How about you, Sabrina?
I have many hobbies.
Whoa.
I dance.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Shut up. You know this already. I'm in love with dance. It's actually becoming more of a passion of mine. And it's something like you said where, I don't expect myself to be a pro at it. So when I go to classes, I drop that that intimidation, and I go, you know what, I don't care if I'm gonna suck, I just want to have fun, and I will throw myself into classes where they a lot of people have been dancing all their lives, or sometimes not, but I'll take the class anyways, and I'm like, I don't care if I'm not as good as them, as long as I'm feeling the class. And then I do pole dance and pole fitness. And I also just weight lift a lot at the gym. And I'm a musician too. I sing and I play guitar. And yeah, and then I do Meeseeks time. That's my other hobby. But yeah, I like to dive into other artistic kind of endeavors outside of drawing art. to satisfy that my that artistic expression.
Express yourself.
Yeah.
Totally.
So like if I don't want to draw after a long day at work, I try to express myself in other areas of art. So yeah. What about you, Nick?
Well, recently I've been playing a lot of Blackout, and if you find me on PS4, I will crush you, I will kill you, and I will decimate you, okay? I am the best Blackout player in all of North America. No, I'm just kidding. But like I don't know, I've been playing a lot of new Call of Duty. That's all.
Okay.
Last month, that's all I've been doing. Just every night I get home from work, Call of Duty. That's all I can do. Just Call of Duty.
Do you
Used to-
You have no other hobbies?
No, just Call of Duty.
You don't watch... I mean, I know you watch anime, so...
Oh yeah, I watch tons of anime. When I'm not playing
That's
Call of
basically
Duty,
a hobby of
I
his.
watch anime.
He watches enough anime to call it a hobby.
I've been really digging Goblin Slayer, which I highly recommend if you like Berserk
I've
or
been seeing that pop up.
oh, it's so good. It's like Dungeons and Dragons if it was like an anime. It's so good.
I would say that your another hobby of yours is like also just like trying to produce little side projects and stuff.
Oh yes, I'm always doing things, but
Like explain what you have going on at home right now, like little like setup that you have.
I have a beautiful Twitch setup, which this is also streaming on Twitch, but it's streaming on my Twitch, and it's probably got the wrong title on my Twitch, but I don't care. But it's a great Twitch channel, and I have a friend come over, Roxana. She's building cosplay.
She went to our college.
So she comes over and she builds cosplay on stream. I'm going to be having a friend come over and do some animation.
To come over.
She's supposed to come over, and she's going to do some drawing. Anyone who wants to, Brian, Lauren, if you guys want to come over and draw on stream and hang out and just chill, let's just chill.
It's a good way to get other creative outlets out.
Yeah.
Because I've built like the best fucking computer. Like I can stream like off the Cintiq. I can stream off of like physical drawing. I can stream off of like if I wanted to play some games, I could stream gaming. I don't really do that though because
Ooh, I should do
I'm too
that.
busy
Since
shit
I don't
talking.
play games anymore, I should come over and play a game as a newbie.
What game do you want to play?
I don't know, anything that's gonna be funny as fuck to watch me play.
Oh, I got
Because
some
I
fun
suck
ones.
at all games right now.
There's games are not what they used to be
I
like.
know.
Like
Just keep talking about games. I want to go and play God of War. I want to beat God of War
I
so I
like
can
God
start
of
Red
War.
Dead.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's hard to
Red
keep up
Dead.
with them. There's so many
Definitely.
hours you
I mean,
have to play into these.
I
No!
just beat Spider-Man, like, all of it, like, yesterday, so...
Oh, nice.
No.
I watched the gameplay on YouTube at work.
Of
Like,
Spider-Man?
no, of
just
games in
games in
general.
No,
It's like
that's what I do.
Yeah, I
don't
heard that's
play
actually a
too much.
good pro tip from. Do you
Mhm.
know FDZ? Is it Fing?
Yeah,
Oh, no,
Fengju.
Yeah, or it's FZD.
FZD
Yeah.
school. Yeah.
That's actually number one pro tip for people who want to get into gaming. Is when you're in school or whatever or working on your portfolio, play less games and watch more gameplay instead, because you're not like you can be drawing at the same time while you have on YouTube that like the gameplay of it, so you're like still drawing and putting in your time of studying, and at the same time you can also learn and absorb what because it to some extent it is education, learning, like watching gameplay, because that's gonna be your job, is to create this, so it's a good way to still learn without having to waste those hours playing the game. So
It's important to know your field.
yeah.
Know what's out there, know what's
Yeah.
going on, so that's a great way to do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of streamers in general, like we're streaming right now, and I feel like streaming is the way of the future in general. And just looking at what people are doing in the streaming space or in like even the YouTube space for like this type of content and all type of content is just so dynamic and so unique. Like I'm really into Dr. Disrespect, and the production value of his streams, it like
Oh, I've seen him.
it's so good. Like it's astonishing. Like his YouTube videos are 10 times better because you concentrate, like you do an 8-hour stream and then you concentrate it down into like a 10-20 minute video.
It's
it
a
just
lot of
comes
work,
out
too.
Yeah, yeah, his editor is phenomenal. And just looking at like this, like all of this production value that goes into streaming, like Twitch is so up and coming, and there's so many different facets of Twitch, and there's so many different facets of YouTube, and and even Facebook. Facebook is getting into this video streaming thing. Pretty soon, I'm actually for all of the animation success stories fans out there. I'm really looking into getting some of our content into shorter form content, like 3 minutes, into our Facebook space, so that way, you know, because Facebook is one of our biggest platforms, and we do so well there, and I really want to like get more content out to them that they can see.
I also want our like views to go up on like YouTube and
Yeah, you know, we're at 750 subscribers, which is great. That's 50 since NerdBot. That's 50 subscribers in a month.
I remember the last time that I checked, we had like around 500.
Yeah, we're doing great. Another 250 will be monetized, and then we just need to get a lot of hours watched to finish the last requirement. Yeah, so just everyone who's watching right now, just play every episode on repeat for me. Just leave them when you go off to work tomorrow morning. Yeah, just leave it in the background playing to help boost our stats, because that would be awesome.
We still always have like really good guests too, up and coming, that we want to work on grabbing and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, you did a panel at NerdBotCon. Do you want who did you do the panel with?
It was with Darren Nancy, the creator of Star Wars: The Force of Evil, Dave Stone, one of the directors and board artists of Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans Go the movie, Eric Bauza, who was on our show before, voice actor extraordinaire, and hosted by Lauren Stone, who was a writer for NerdBot. We also did another Teen Titans Go panel with Pete Michaels, the other Pete Michaels. Who's the
other two Pete Michaels?
There's two Pete Michaels in animation. I've worked for both of them.
There's also two Chris Hootens.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know one Chris Hooten.
I know another.
Brian got us a table at that con.
Yes.
Where we
it was in Pasadena.
Where we got to meet Lauren, actually.
Yeah, we got to meet Lauren there.
Yes. Yeah.
She like came by and was like, "Hey,
it was so cool."
One person.
Her and
we met several people there.
Her and Surge Bird.
Fans.
Oh yeah, I remember Surge Bird. Yeah, you remember Surge Bird?
I think so.
I'm sure.
I mean, I'm sure I do.
She's on enough where she can like see other people also sending in questions. And
when is Bank gonna show up? Okay. Huh?
Bank is all. Oh, he said hi earlier.
Yeah, I mean he's already here. He already showed up, but like when is he gonna show up physically?
He's all the way in Australia.
I know. That's he needs to come here and visit.
Or we can go there. That moment.
I'd go to Australia. Australia seems like a great country.
I might have some contacts out there.
Ooh.
Oh, I know some people. I know Neil Sanders from Loop to Loop. He's a great guy.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
I know Neil.
Rocket is No, wait, is he
He's
Australian?
British. Jesus.
Cheers, love.
Oh yeah. I always got confused what he was exactly. Whatever.
British.
He's an alien.
Accent's a little different.
It's weird because when I was in England, people thought I was Australian.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody out
Is
here.
you just roll with it?
I was like
yeah.
Sure. But it makes me wonder, like, is American, like, in between Australian and British?
Like
It
that
might be for them.
Yeah.
It might be for them.
For them, yeah. But for us, no.
Yeah.
I know.
Australian's very, like,
I already told you guys earlier, but my Lyft driver earlier today thought I was Korean or Japanese,
Oh,
and I don't
God.
understand. I don't. You look at me. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
He was very flattered, though.
It was very
He's
flattering.
always wanted to be...
Oh yeah.
Do we have any other questions, or are we
I
done?
know, I'm like,
No. Do you have some questions for us?
Yeah. Did it, like any?
Can I ask
We
them?
can
Yeah, ask
wrap it up.
Why- why
with
should
a
you
question.
And be sure to
Questions,
direct them
that's-
at like whoever. like-
Whatever you guys want to do.
And if you have any questions for Ant, he's not here,
Yeah.
but feel free. Maybe he can make a video response.
We'll answer the questions for Anne.
Yeah.
Hey,
Ant, we're
Ant.
speaking for you now. This is what's happened.
Well, I guess, like, just the biggest question that I had for you guys, I don't believe you guys ever talked about this before, but I just, as a fan, I really want to know, like, what was your inspiration for making this podcast? Like, why did you guys decide to do this? Like,
You want to start, Sabrina?
Yeah, because I know I came to you, like,
Kind of.
yeah, because I mean, I know he's always had this vision, and then, at least that's what you told me.
Yes, but is when you and Ant were talking at Pizza Rev, and it was at lunch.
You guys went to Pizza Rev without me?
This is when we were on Rick and Morty. So,
But I've had this vision for a very long time. I think it was actually, like, when was it? I forgot exactly when, but it was like kind of around the time when I first got on the Rick and Morty. And I would always talk about it with Nick. Right? Do you remember?
I remember everything.
Oh, okay. And I just always wanted to. I was always a fan of podcasts. My favorite podcast was the Grandma's Virginity podcast.
Which
Justin
Ryan's,
Roiland,
Yeah,
Ryan
I was super
Ridley,
into that.
and Jackie Buscarino.
Yeah,
I
Jackie.
loved that podcast and knew about it before Rick and Morty ever came out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of them for that podcast, not Rick and Morty. So it was like, it's just funny. Whenever I would listen to podcasts and stuff, I would just be like, like, this sounds like they're having a genuinely, like, a good time, and, like, the fact that I'm being entertained listening to this, and I'm actually, like, listening to it and willing to, like, listen to more of this, I'm like, I can imagine, like, I can see myself doing something similar where I can get a group of people who have great chemistry, and we could talk about something, a certain topic, and people can listen to us talk about this topic. And I was like, well, what kind of knowledge do I have to offer? Obviously, it's like animation. And I like was thinking about it. I never really came across any like animation podcasts where like it's this loose, like because a lot of them tend to be formal or whatever.
Yeah.
And I wanted something loose. I remember in the beginning when I came to you, I was like, I want it to be very informal. I don't want it to be super like, and I don't know. I just wanted it to feel like we're hanging out. I wanted us to have fun doing it, and then also give it a chance for us to also, like, I guess kind of network with people in a sense, and kind of get to know people as well. Because, like, when we interview people, I don't, like, half the time I don't even know these people that we're interviewing. And then afterwards, when we're done, I'm like, I know about them enough to, like, when I see them again, I can say hi and, like, how are you? You know what I mean?
Totally, yeah.
But I came to Brian specifically because I remember, I just know that Brian's just really well-rounded with contacts, and I was like, and also he had podcast experience with One Piece, and I think I just like randomly had a conversation with you.
No, what happened was you and Ant were having a conversation at Pizza Rev, and we were passing.
Okay.
And I overheard you guys were like, oh, we're talking about this thing. And I'm like, well, what are you guys talking about? And I was like, oh, I had a similar idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and you guys
And
were
then I was
already
just
like
like,
formulating that.
yeah.
And then we kind of like combine our, like I wanted to do an interview about animation specifically myself too, but I was just thinking like small form. I already knew Danner, and I already had the ideas like, oh, this is where you should film it.
Yeah, he provided
perfect
this.
for this.
Yeah. Anthony, I specifically talked to Anthony about it. I know for a fact I went to him, like he was a person where I was like, I'm going to go to him about this.
Yeah, he's very charismatic.
He's very charismatic, and he's also very, like Nick, when he has a side project, like he makes sure it gets done.
He's coordinating producer, it helps.
Yeah, exactly. And then I asked Nick, of course, because he's also the exact same way, more so in a sense where like he's good at planning things, and he's good at like doing things on his own time for things, and a lot of this technical setup is because of him. Like he's so well rounded with the internet.
Yeah, because I couldn't do this.
I could not do this, and I don't know how the hell you're working that. I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a green bar going up and down,
I can see that.
and
But
that's us talking.
Nick basically like takes care of the entire setup. He's our engineer, and yeah, he's also always on the internet, so he like knows how to market on the internet and all of that. So yeah, it's just a matter of like.
Yeah, we assembled our crew based on like people we know and like our own experience and expertise.
Yeah, and then we have Ebit.
And
Oh yeah, she's new.
And she's new. She's helping out. She's just
our
an extra
technical
person.
In film side, because she's done live action filming before,
Yeah.
which is more experience than the rest of us have had in that front. So if we ever go more out into the field and do some more interviews, Ebit's gonna be our go-to for that.
And Andy.
Andy's
is
her.
Yeah, and you're working with Andy right now, right? Or
I'm
you're starting with?
going Hopefully, yeah. Oh.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Andy was with us on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
really?
was,
Yeah.
He was actually with me on the pilot too.
Oh.
Yeah. I sat in front of him for a
Evie
very
was
long
on Rick
time.
and Morty as well, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
season 1.
I
Yeah.
forget.
But we brought her on for extra social media help, and also she has a really awesome camera, and like
Yes.
she'll take cool photos. We're hoping that she'll take more photos in the future, and then like so we can have stuff to post. And then if we have any events like live events, she'll also be there documenting and stuff.
Yeah.
It's also tough because like we're not making any money, so we can't pay
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah,
so
a
we're just
lot of
asking,
this-
like, can we help?
Yeah, all the stuff is like we'll always like kind of come at people saying like if you want to like help us out or something, like unfortunately we can't pay you, but like if it's something that
Everyone's volunteered.
yeah,
so it's really
she
surprising.
volunteered because she wanted to, what was it, she said she wanted to get used to what was it,
I wish she was here. I was
I
there.
know, she wanted
Ebit, we
to-
miss you.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
miss
miss
you.
you guys
She wanted
too.
to refamiliarize herself with editing, I think, or and just I don't know, just
Yeah,
she
so
also
she
wanted
she
something
pulled
to
a
do
lot
on
of
the
like
side.
the editing responsibilities from
Yeah,
me, so
that.
was tremendous.
That
Mhm.
and also just she wanted something to do on the side, like
Yeah.
something fun.
And
which is
it's
what
nice to
this
meet up
is.
with people and just, you know, have a fun time, and the more the merrier. Like
Yeah.
like Danner, you know, like when we come into this space, he's always here, and he's like always so friendly, and you know, we get to, you know, talk to him for a little bit and just find out what he's up to.
Yeah, he's always up
You
to
know,
a
his-
lot of
his-
things.
His little girl's she's getting bigger and bigger by the.
Yeah, because you're right. He was talking about how she's 2 now, and I remember when we started this podcast, she was an infant.
She wasn't even
she's-
walking.
Yeah, no, she
God.
was a baby. Yeah.
Wasn't even walking.
Old. The Omega says, even when you hang out, does Brian always look serious?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, he does. The way you see him here that's how he is. Pretty much.
I'm worse at work.
Brian's spirit animal is an accountant.
I hate accountants.
Exactly. Just kidding. He also said everyone loves the tech guy.
Nick.
Yeah.
Nick is also our filler. Like if someone's not here, he will
Yeah.
be here. So if you love
Yeah.
him, then great. If you hate him, I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I'm sort of like a type of person where it's like you either love me or you fucking hate me. Like there's no in between.
At least you're
Because I'm gonna be
aware.
90% honest. Most of the time, I'm
Some
just
people
talking about
aren't
anime,
aware.
and people zone out when you start talking about anime. It's like most people just be like, oh, like I was talking to a person about anime the other day, and they're like, oh, you know what my favorite anime movie is that I think it's Spirited, and it's about food.
I'm already gone.
I
It's
know.
Spirited Away. Spirited Away. They were talking about Spirited Away.
Oh!
Yeah.
Like food
What a,
wars?
Yeah.
No! What a
Yeah.
dummy!
It's fine. People are allowed to be people.
Yeah. Just don't troll people so
you-
much.
Any other questions? Because I'm
Yeah,
feeling-
what do you
That-
got?
yeah,
I'm old. I want to play God
throw
of War.
throw some
Did you?
throw some
Okay,
hardballs?
let's do this. Okay, that was the big
that
one.
was the most important.
Okay.
That was a good one.
I guess let's just close it with if you have any like last big pieces of advice or last thoughts that you would
Yeah.
like to tell our audience before we go with Brian's words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a fan, that's my favorite part.
Yeah,
Oh,
see?
good.
You gotta do it.
Lauren is a fan.
Yay.
Can confirm we have one fan.
So I guess my advice would be if anyone out there is watching, maybe I'd assume like maybe you're considering working in animation. Maybe you're kind of stuck between like, do I work for TV or do I work for film or do I work for games? Coming from games, I can just give you a little insight about like what it's like in games. Animation in games specifically is very like overall like everything you're creating is to serve the player and the interactability of the player. And so everything you make has to support that. And story and things like that usually come second. The first thing that you're doing is for the player, especially as an animator. Like everything you're doing is going to be how the player feels when they're playing the game. Like however like that run cycle is.
Anxiety.
Or the way that you animate your run cycles and you know your jumping and the effects or whatever you're doing, it's all for the player. And it tends to be a lot more technical that way because it's the player is a very interactive thing, and like I said, like story usually comes second. So if you really like just focusing on like just the pure animation of it, if you love like just doing run cycles and doing hit reactions and you really love just the artistic like breaking down of those things, then I'd say like games is a great venue for that.
Okay.
It's a great spot for
That's
doing
a
that.
good piece of advice.
Yeah, as far as like the other aspects of games, it's the same thing. Like everything really should cater to the player and the player's experience. So, you know, if you're doing the backgrounds or the props or whatever, it's all supporting the player. And of course, like the story, but that definitely takes like a backseat to like, you know, how does the player see this? How does the player interact with this?
And jobs too.
Right.
Like, what you'll be like, I'm sure there's like a whole department for story and everything, and then like there's also smaller.
Depends on the game.
Yeah.
Some
right.
games story doesn't even really matter.
Like Tetris?
Right.
There you go.
That's
You're
a good
telling
piece
me-
of advice.
Games are about gameplay. Like, is the player going to come back again and want to keep playing this gameplay loop?
Yeah,
Are you
like
telling me Tetris doesn't have a plot line?
Yeah, like for example, I have a buddy who is a game level designer whose trade is a writer, but the way he designs levels, the way they design levels as a writing background, you just come up with concepts for how scenarios play out. That's the writing part, and that's
cool.
it. Yeah, they're not literally. It's not so much narrative or structure or words. It's more like the character walks into this, and then that blows up, and that prompts this thing, and then that prompts this thing, and this is what the player's interactions do.
That's
gonna be.
so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it can be story oriented. It really depends on the game, but
Right.
overall, games are interactive,
You
and it's about that
answered that.
interactability.
Yeah,
No, that's
totally.
a different one.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh,
So-
Yewan, your friend Yewan said, "Go, Lauren, I miss you."
Oh, I miss you too.
Omega, we answered that already.
Yeah, look, just scroll back maybe like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, so her piece of advice is really good for anybody who does, like, if they want to go in animation or and maybe they can't find work or something and they feel stuck for a while, or maybe they feel burnt out. They can always try to figure out something in games too, because we're all artists at the end of the day, you know, and then a lot of our programs are very similar to each other.
Totally.
If you're an art student, I'm sure you're going to learn Maya, you know, like we did.
Do I use it? No.
No, but we did, remember?
We used it once.
No, but still, that was something. Anyways. Brian's words of wisdom.
Well, it's interesting because like you touched on and mentioned several things I've mentioned on the podcast, but I also always want to express like don't poo-poo small studios.
Wait, what?
Don't poo-poo small studios.
We need stickers.
Yeah, it's like they are a necessary, not even evil. They're a necessary part of our production. That like you can go in and learn a lot of things, learn what you hate, learn what you don't like, learn what you like, learn what you don't like. Gain contacts, gain experience. There's more of them around. So if you're on the East Coast, or if you're in another country, you might be able to find a small studio that's closer to you than it's simply coming all the way out to California. Another thing you mentioned is that I thought was really important. Make the job you want to do work for you in school. Like you have very much like school track, and I've said several times in the podcast, you don't have to go to school to do this work, but you need to know how to do the work. So going to school is the only way to do it. Go to technical school, or just learn class on your own. Doesn't matter. But like you knew what you wanted to do, and you're like, I want to do this. They're trying to get me to do the other thing. I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna, like your thesis. You're already working on like 3 semesters ahead of time. Before then, I had to do the exact same thing in my school because we didn't have a traditional animation program in my school. We had 3D, we had visual effects, we had motion graphics. So I was like, I'm going to do a 2D cartoon. This is how long it takes to do a 2D cartoon. So I geared all my classes and electives towards helping me facilitate that. It wasn't like literally, I was like, you're going to do what I said. Just like, this project is going to be about doing a creative storyboard about something. I'm like, oh, then I know I'm going to have to do a storyboard, so I'll do the storyboard for my thesis in this class.
Yeah. And if there's classes too that like you feel like you can't, not like you feel like you're not really like gaining a lot from it. Like it's kind of like you're, I don't know. Like for me, when I got my internship, my first internship, I asked teachers if I could like spend more time at that internship and like either not come to class or like not have to worry so much about the homework for the class.
Some of them will allow you to negotiate.
Yeah,
that,
some of them were like, "Oh my God, you're working there? Great, yes, please do so,"
Yeah.
because they know that I'm gonna like end up there, you know, or I wanted to end up there. So try to communicate with your teachers too if you're having like any cool internships on the side and you want to dedicate more time or put more effort into those internships. And you feel like schools, like the weight of schools pulling you back a little bit. So try to do that. That's a good point.
Yeah, because ultimately the education is made to benefit what you want to get out of it, ultimately, so.
Yeah. Sorry, can we ask this question? Because it's a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I love it.
Before we leave. Your sister says, what does it feel like to be the second best sister in the Lehmann family?
It's awesome. I can just bask in your shadow, bask in your beautiful rays.
We were bragging about you earlier if you were here earlier listening.
Yeah, check.
Yeah.
I'll show you later if you didn't see it.
And then Omega was like, what is it like to have a sister that roasts you on a stream?
I love it. No, me and my sister have a crazy. Yeah, we're the typical crazy sisters. Don't get us together.
I love it.
We haven't gotten streaming hate like this in a while, so yeah, keep this up.
Yeah, roasted. You're awesome, Kristen.
I should have brought her.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, what are you doing right
I
now?
know,
Why aren't you here?
That's why she's roasting. You deserve it.
I know.
You
I deserve it. I'm sorry, Kristen.
Maybe we'll have
Get
both
on
of you
over
back.
here.
Well, thank you so much. Love you guys.
Fair.
Toasted and burned. Oh, and then Sam earlier said, "Good night, fam. It's past my bedtime in Pittsburgh."
Yeah.
But then he
Like-
posted just a second ago, so he lied about going to bed. So Sam, what are you doing? Roasted!
You guys are so much fun. Thank you so much.
Aw.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren.
I'm so honored. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
No problem.
So
We know you
much.
have a long drive, so.
No. There's no traffic.
No. Culver
Okay.
City, that's far.
There's no
for me, at
traffic
least.
right now.
I
In
guess.
LA, it's closed.
I guess. I feel for people who
No
need to
worries.
drive. You have work in the morning too, I'm sure.
We all have
so.
work.
Yeah.
We all have work in the
Besides me, I
morning.
have a week off.
Okay.
Oh, you have a week off?
Yeah, before I
Nice.
start work.
You have a week off?
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Follow Lauren on
L
social
Artist.
media. It's Lauren LA Artist.
On Twitter?
On Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, Vimeo, and Newgrounds.
Wait, you were able to get the same handle on all of them?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Consistency is key, guys.
How? What?
Also, subscribe to our channel, share,
That's what you
like,
said.
comment, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys around.
We still have a few announcements to make.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, well, we're gonna be sending
Alright.
off the prize for the grand prize winner.
Nigel. Yeah. Oh, you want to show him?
Yeah, I want to show him.
Just communicate that with him.
We'll just
So
show it
I
really
can
quick,
show
just
him.
to show that like it's on its way.
It's on its way.
Okay.
It's on its way.
It's physically in a frame.
This is what to expect for
All
the
the,
next season too.
Yeah. So season 2, we'll do another little contest. Maybe not a logo, but maybe something else. And we'll send off all the posters for that. But this is season 1. We're gonna send this off to Nigel.
Yeah.
And then with the comic book, and
Yeah, and we're maybe
we'll do like a live stream with them, like a Skype thing, maybe.
Yeah. Also Austin too.
Oh, and Austin. Austin, I love your work.
Yeah. And we hopefully we want to get some like t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, where are those t-shirts at? You asked us sizes.
We'll work on it.
We'll
I
get
know,
'em, we'll
work
get 'em.
on it.
But then we also have me and Brian. We went off to a film festival.
Yeah.
And we filmed some interviews,
Hopefully
which will be coming out probably in the next couple weeks.
Hopefully.
Um,
This was like on assignment, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
let
I didn't
them
even know
take
about
care
it
of
until
that.
after they did it.
Yeah, and it was super rad, and we got
Mhm.
like crazy, like Brian got us some like super like crazy access because he's so connected. Fucking Brian.
Fucking Brian.
It's fine.
So you're editing those interviews?
Yeah, I'm
for
editing the
channel?
interviews. I've started editing them. I put them together, We got like three interviews, three interviews with some animation directors and producers, and then another person with, I could probably release the one with the
Sure, as a teaser.
Yeah, so we interviewed, so the Animation is Film Festival we went to, and we interviewed a person from the staff and a few of the people who were screening their films there. I'll probably release the person from the staff, sometime in the next week or two.
Okay.
Because that one we're not like time restricted on.
No.
But the other ones, they might go out like audio form to another podcast before us for the One Piece podcast.
We'll let you know. No, it won't be for One Piece. We'll let you know when I get more details.
Yeah.
But
but they're coming out.
It involves animation. It involves specifically overseas animation.
Yeah.
Many short films and feature films.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, one accredited and acclaimed director. So I won't tease beyond that.
We're always also thinking or planning on a future event where we can just literally have a hangout networking kind of party or something.
Yeah.
And maybe with that have a live podcast event or something. So we can actually have a bunch of you guys come out and we can hang out with people and just
Yeah, definitely. I know for me, I'm probably going to go to DesignerCon at the end of this month. I don't know if either of you would like to join me, but I've been there before and I've found it is a great convention. Last time I was there, I actually ran into Max.
Oh yeah.
He had a booth there. One of our previous guests. He was sharing a booth with one of his buddies who worked with at Rick and Morty too. I forget his name. I bought
Brent.
No. I think he was a background designer. It was an Asian guy.
Oh.
But he had some nice Evangelion art that I bought. So I bought some of his art.
Cool.
Who is it?
Background design. I think I know.
Maybe background colorist. I don't remember.
Okay, it's fine.
It was forever ago. I liked Evangelion, so I bought art.
Got it.
Anyways.
Yeah. Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you all have a good night. Love y'all. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Oh my God.